Let's get it, 580 Sports Talk, going up on a Tuesday here on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9 and online at 580WIBW.com. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski, producer, engineer, our summer intern, Trenton Craxner across the glass. Spencer Dupuis will be along later on. We have got 4 hours of sports talk to bring to you this afternoon on 580 Sports Talk, and we appreciate you making us a part of your Tuesday afternoon. Lots to get to on the program on the first day of Kansas City Chiefs training camp. We have made it through the wilderness. We have arrived at the start of training camp. Patrick Mahomes is in St. Joe. Andy Reid is in St. Joe. We are going to hear from both Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid on this program today. We're going to jump in and take whoever speaks first today. We're going to take them live, and that won't be too long. That'll be in about 10 minutes or so. We're going to hear from the first of 2 speakers from St. Joe today. Then we'll hear from the other one at the bottom of the 3 o'clock hour. So we will hear from the Chiefs head coach and the best quarterback in the National Football League as they arrive at training camp. Been a while since Reid particularly has spoken to the media, so we'll be fascinated to hear what they have to say. We've also got some other training camp content. Number 4 storyline of the training camp of the preseason for the Chiefs. We're counting them down from 5 to 1. Number 5 yesterday was the running back situation. Did the Chiefs need a veteran running back number 3, or is Isaiah Pacheco in line for a snap and workload increase? Today, we've got a new storyline that we will discuss on the show. We're going to talk some baseball as well. The home run derby last night, Bobby Witt Jr. went and made himself a national star. And I really think that there are but so many star-making vehicles in the sports world where you can announce your presence on the national stage. But the home run derby is one of them, and Bobby Witt Jr. did that last night.
He was, and obviously viewing this through blue-tinted glasses because of who we might follow on social media or who our friends are, who you guys on the other side of the radio are, who we associate with. You're getting a royal slant when you're watching something and experiencing it like last night. But it sure felt like the story of the event was Bobby Witt Jr. More so even than Teoscar Hernandez winning the whole thing. It felt like the grand story was, I've heard Bobby Witt Jr. is good. I know he's had a great year. I've checked Baseball Reference every day. I've seen the league leaders. I know he's an all-star. I've heard this dude is good. And then you saw that and all that came with that and all the narrative and the fun. I thought the new format was great, by the way. I know we'll talk about that a little bit later on as well. I thought the new format worked out really well. It felt like the best possible combination of the old way they used to do it and the more recent competitive head-to-head format. I really enjoyed how they formatted it yesterday. And he was the story. I think a lot of, I'll speak for myself at least, I thought we could have ended up in a situation where you got a Bobby Witt versus Gunnar Henderson kind of shootout. And man, look at this great crop of shortstops that are going to be the next great ones in Major League Baseball. And then one of them probably should have just stayed home. Gunnar should have just stayed in the cage a little bit longer. And Bobby Witt, he's got it. And sometimes you know that immediately. Sometimes it takes a little bit into someone's career. And I think we knew his rookie year when there were a lot of ups and downs, both in the field and at the plate. He said, yeah, I mean, you can see why the Royals think the world of him. We'll see where it goes. Then last year, okay, yeah, he's pretty special. And now this year, it's obvious, yeah, he should never wear another uniform. He should wear Royals blue every single game for his entire career, which will hopefully take another 15 or more years.
Certainly think that's the hope, right, with the 13-year contract.
Absolutely. And when you have a guy like that who can then go in front of everybody, and admittedly, is the home run derby the be-all, end-all? Like, no, it's an arcade game, essentially. That's what the home run derby is. But when you've got your biggest name, your best player in front of everybody, just going crazy like that, he's got the swing. It's hard to have a pretty right-handed swing. Lefties are normally the ones who have the best-looking right-handed swing I've ever seen is Chris Bryant, who unfortunately is broken now. Beautiful right-handed swing. There aren't many of them. Bobby Witt with that quick, compact, doesn't even follow through all the way on those big power swings. There's something about it that is very aesthetically pleasing. He's got the hair flowing. He's got the big smile. He's got the entire package, and everybody got to see that like we've seen it all year. That's exciting. Like, if you're a Royals fan, everyone else out there knows, if they didn't already, oh, shoot, you got a good one. Yeah, that kid's pretty special.
Yeah, there hasn't been a national spotlight for the Kansas City Royals in recent years, and that's like understandable. So this was really, in a lot of ways, the country's first introduction to Bobby Witt Jr. this whole week. And this is not going to be the last week, All-Star week, that Bobby Witt Jr. is a part of. And that's the most exciting thing to think about, whether he does the Derby again or not. The fact that he's here and he's going to be a fixture here is really exciting and a really cool thing for the Royals and for Bobby Witt Jr. The other important storylines from the Home Run Derby, Mark is on it in the YouTube live chat. Trenton witnessing Pete Alonso's downfall and watching and beaming because he prayed for it.
Yes. I'm just sad that Gunnar Henderson didn't hit more home runs than him, because then I could have said he had the worst performance at the Derby.
Yeah, he never got in a rhythm, did he?
No, and that's great. Because
is it over?
Also,
like, are we at the end of Pete Alonso Home Run Derby merchant?
I think so.
I mean, it's hard to come back from an effort like that.
I can tell you this. It may not have been beneficial that his batting practice coach appeared to be 97 years old. I think Dave Joust may have peaked as a batting practice coach a couple of years back, and he may have to tweak the approach.
More like Dave Joust, because he was around in the medieval ages. Am I right, folks?
Got him!
Got him!
Oh, baby!
it would have been better. It would have been nice if Bobby won it. And I told you guys that last night, but it's like it's not going to make me lose sleep. I'm just happy the Royals are at a legit playoff push as a Royals fan for the second half. But, man, Pete Alonso, as long as he didn't win, I was perfectly happy. And, buddy, give it up, because rev up the LinkedIn page.
So
Pete Alonso and Dave Aranda taking their jobs from them.
DFA watch.
I will say, I remember Salvi not making it out of the first round of the Derby because he had a good round when he competed. It just wasn't enough. I did not realize or remember that no other Royal had ever gotten out of the first round, or that, I mean, I wasn't alive for this, that Bo hit 1 and Danny Tartabull hit 2.
It was a different time. The old Home Run Derby was a little different.
Well, yeah, now you got shortstops hitting, 440-foot home runs.
Yes, all of the guys look like world-class bodybuilders who did this thing in the late 80s and early 90s, and you could win with like 4. And then, then Ken Griffey Jr. hit the warehouse in Baltimore, and things started to change a little bit. So, that happened. We have Bobby Witt Jr. to talk about. We have Pete Alonso's downfall. And also a drunk woman showed up and sang the national anthem as poorly as it is possible to sing the song.
Yeah, that's not a joke. She actually did.
No, none of those things are a joke.
Also, man, you were right. This is depressed. I'm currently looking at the Home Run Derbies 1985 through 1989. Dave Parker, 1985, walloped 6 of them. What, were there pitchers throwing curveballs? What is this? Wally Joyner and Darryl Strawberry tied in 86 with 4.
Wow.
87, the Hawk, who won the MVP that year, Andre Dawson, 4. Eric Davis and Ruben Sierra tied for first in 89 with 3.
Wow, Gary Gaetti shut out that year.
What?
Man,
how did this happen?
What a fun collection. How did Ozzie Virgil get invited to be in the Home Run Derby in 1987?
Mickey Tettleton competing in 89. I'm amazed the Derby survived with numbers like that.
Yeah, who was checking for this?
That's crazy. Wow, the rare thing that has gotten better.
Yes.
The good old days were actually the bad old days when it came to the Derby, apparently.
I'm just glad we mentioned Dave Parker, the Cobra, one of the coolest players of all time, who should absolutely be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah. Joe in the YouTube live chat said it was a joint Home Run Derby and strikeout competition. Yeah, we don't know. Maybe up on the mound we had like Mark Langston and Nolan Ryan and Frank Tanana, like the strikeout artists of the age.
Yeah, well, and today,
Frank Viola.
Even in today's age, yesterday, James Russell doing his best to relive his glory days, apparently, because he was not making it especially easy on my guy, Bobby Witt Jr. He was throwing a little gas, had a little movement on some of those pitches. There was one that Witt hit that was so high out of the zone. I could not believe he hit a home run on it. I thought, what are you doing? Throw him a better pitch. Yeah, Vance on YouTube. Was Randy Johnson pitching? Felt like it.
I will say, though, when he hit that home run to get him to 13 and he had 2 outs left, that next pitch where he shot right down the left field line was a terrible pitch to swing at.
Yeah, it was.
He cost himself.
Yeah, you gotta be a little bit more selective. And
Side note, though, did not like Todd Frazier with Perez and Ravitch on the call last night.
Was that who that was?
Yes. Yeah. I thought they were all three really bad because Carl Ravitch would be like, oh, that's 450, and then or 425 for the bonus. It's like 418, 405. It's like you don't get your bonus.
He had no feel.
Like,
Carl Ravitch had no feel. He would say, "Oh, that's gonna leave," and then it would die at the warning.
You know
track.
why? Because in Bobby's last round, like on the last 3 pitches that he had before he went to the bonus round against Hernandez, he hit those ones off the wall. And he's like, "There goes one, and there goes another." So I thought he was at 12, and then he's at 11. I'm like,
"Yeah, he did."
Thanks, buddy.
He said he thought he hit a home run on each of his last 3 swings.
Jeez,
yeah, that
I was like, "Thanks, buddy." Now,
I watched the Statcast broadcast. Far better. And I understand that not everyone loves the math, the nerd stuff. I get it. The broadcast team was Kevin Brown, who at first I thought was Joe Buck. Thought, wow, they got him to do an alt cast? No, it wasn't Joe Buck. Kevin Brown sounded like him though. Jessica Mendoza, who's fine, and then Mike Petriello, I think it was, the Statcast guy, essentially. And the camera, I don't know how they did it on ESPN for the whole broadcast. The camera was always behind the plate, showing the pull side. So you always saw every single ball fly to the wall. It was awesome. That was great. I'm always going to watch an alternative for Carl Ravitch on TV for forever.
One last note about the Proto Home Run Derby. Mike Piazza once got shut out in the Home Run Derby in back-to-back years. 1993 and 1994. Piazza participated both seasons and did not hit a single home run.
Are we talking about the same Mike Piazza, who is the all-time leader among catchers for home runs with 412? Is that his number?
Something like that. He is the all-time
427. Yeah.
He is the all-time leader.
How did this event survive? I'm very curious about this now. We need a 30 for 30 short. We need a podcast on this. How did the Derby, when you could win with 3 home runs, ever survive?
I'm trying to find the funniest possible participants from back in the day. Really hard to beat Chris Sabo and his rec specs getting into the Derby in 1991. Oh, he didn't hit a home run, by the way. Damian Easley was in this. Remember him?
Wow. Oh, yeah.
Second baseman for the Tigers. Yeah, he was in this in 1998 when it was in Denver. He hit 2 home runs in a home run derby in pre-Humidor, Colorado. And that was still more than Chipper Jones, who only hit 1.
What was happening? I'm so confused.
Yeah, like we got to go back and watch some of these old home run derbies. I need an explanation. I need to know how now guys are hitting 20 in 4 minutes when these guys had all the time in the world and 10 outs to work with, and they're hitting 1.
Like, I understand the change in baseball, that, launch angle and exit velo and all those things. I understand that we've changed how we approach hitting in baseball these days. Chipper Jones is a Hall of Famer who hit many home runs in his career.
Yeah.
How?
He could only manage the 1 in Denver.
It's the reverse dunk contest, because the dunk contest has only gotten worse over time because most of the good dunks have been done. Like, I would love for a 3-year break from the dunk contest to kind of make us long for it again. The Derby apparently was trash for forever.
They have absolutely juiced the balls. I've never been more convinced than of anything than they have juiced the home run balls.
Except that last one Bobby hit. That was a dead ball. Rob Manfred will pay for it. I'm just kidding. I thought for sure that ball was gone, though.
That was a Manfred
103 miles an hour off the bat, 36-degree launch angle. I think everybody in the stadium thought that was gone. He hit to the wrong part of the park.
Real quick, I know we are waiting for a commercial break, and then we'll get to the Chiefs once they get to the dais in Kansas City in St. Joe. We have some breaking Royals news, though.
We do. MJ Melendez has been placed on the 10-day injured list, retroactive to July 15th. Sprained his ankle on that base running play on Sunday in Boston, and that's going to cause him to have to spend some time on the injured list. No corresponding roster move has been made. Obviously, the Royals aren't in any hurry to make one. Would presume it would probably be Drew Waters who gets the call. Or they could take a look at an infielder and maybe play Adam Frazier more in left field. Not a lot of great options is what I'm getting you.
Here's your option. Go trade for Taylor Ward.
Garrett Hampson all day, every day, baby.
The Hamp Man. Can we get a pinch runner? Can we get a courtesy runner for Bland Hampson?
Give my man Tyrone Blanco some playing time while he's rotting away on the bench instead.
Hey, he could be your
Give
pinch
him some
runner.
run.
Just sub him in the 7th inning, have him play the field. You could live with that.
So we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on in the show. We'll talk some Royals baseball. We'll recap the Home Run Derby, preview the All-Star game tonight. We've got plenty of Chiefs to get to today, plus all of the other things you've come to know and love from a Tuesday edition of 580 Sports Talk, 8 round of Random Question Tuesday, 2 news stories and what is wrong with you, our 580 Sports Talk headlines at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. We got some more Big 12 realignment news, rumor mongering to talk about. We have to get Spencer to do a realignment roundup open, I think. We'll have to get him.
How are we still doing this?
I don't know.
How?
I don't know. But we've moved on. We have a new frontier in realignment rumors. We've advanced to negging. We've gotten to negging when it comes to Florida State, and actually they wouldn't be good in our league. They're a bad partner.
I would be more mad about this if it wasn't coming from 2 different friends of the program today. We've got a report from both Brett McMurphy and Dennis Dodd, both of whom have been on our show and have been kind to us with their time before. So we'll get to that. But, man, I'm just so frustrated. Does no one care about football? What happened to the game I love?
It's an entirely fair question. You can participate in the program today. The Top City Mail Supply text line is open for business. Just like the Big 12. 785-272-9429 is the number to text the Top City Mail Supply text line. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube, you can interact in the YouTube live chat. A lively discussion already today in the YouTube live chat. We'd love to see you in there and interact with you in the live chat. You can also send us comments if you're watching on Facebook at WIBW News. 580 Sports Talk, of course, on YouTube. Subscribe today. We are going to take a break. We'll get out of the way here, and we expect to hear from either Andy Reid or Patrick Mahomes at some point this hour. So we're going to take our first break. We'll come back, and hopefully somebody will be at the dais for us to bring you here in just a little bit on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. 226. We're just getting rolling on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. We're with you until 6 o'clock this evening, and we appreciate you joining us. We're on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. We're on Facebook, WIBW News. We are online worldwide, 580WIBW.com, where you can stream us, and you can also watch the video. The video link is right there on the front page at 580WIBW.com.
How long ago do you think, you're talking about the Royals, former participants in the Derby earlier, how long ago do you think we'd have to go for someone else to have had just one home run?
Just one?
One home run in the
Okay,
Derby.
2012 was the infamous Robbie Cano shutout at Kauffman Stadium.
I don't think I've had more fun watching someone fail at the home run derby.
Not even last
No,
night.
outside of Pete Alonso, other than Robinson Cano snubbing Billy Butler, getting booed out of Kauffman Stadium, and then putting up a big ol' 0 as the odds-on favorite that year.
So, yeah, 2012, I know there was the goose egg. That's one of the more famous Derby moments. I'm trying to think of where there might have been. 2016 was at Petco Park, not a great hitter's park. Did we have a single there?
We did have a single digit. You know who hit it? Who finished last? Robinson Cano.
His redemption was.
He was outscored by Giancarlo Stanton 24-7.
Oh my hell! Okay,
Fallout Boy also performed that night. Stanton won that year.
Very 2016.
Also very 2016. Mark Trumbo participated.
Target Field 2014. Oh gosh, somebody got shut out there that year, didn't they?
In 2014, there was a shutout. This man checked his swing on the first pitch of his round. Can you name the player?
Chris Davis.
Yasiel Puig.
Yasiel Puig. By the way, other legendarily bad outings. That same year, 2014, they did a bracket format. Todd Frazier beat Giancarlo Stanton 1-0 in the semifinal round. Also, you mentioned 2012, the Robbie Cano shutout. That year also featured Matt Kemp hitting 1.
Okay.
So that's one of the worst derbies of all time. Prince Fielder won that year, for those who don't remember. Also, 2006, my guy Troy Gloss hit 1. Ryan Howard won that year.
Yeah. 05, Jason Bay was shut out. 2005 was the year that Bobby Abreu went ballistic in the first round and ended up winning the whole thing. But it was also the year 8 different countries were represented to promote the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah.
And that's how Dodger and Cub great Heesop Choi, who hit 40 career home runs, ended up in a home run derby. He's got to be the answer for player with the fewest career home runs to participate in a derby. It's got to be him.
There is one other player who has been shut out in the last 20 years. Can you name them? It was 2009.
09 at Busch Stadium.
Wow, Matt Kemp also had a year where he had 2. He was not a good derby participant.
I do not know. I just looked it up. Why was this guy in a home run derby?
Who else remembers Brandon Inge?
Brandon Hedwig and the Angry Inge.
152 career home runs. He did not have any of them in a home run derby.
How many did he hit that season? My goodness. He had 21 home runs in the first half of 2009.
Roids. That's just what we're gonna say. He ended up getting 2 tattoos that same year, right after the derby, one on each forearm for his 2 kids.
That's 2 more than home runs that he hit.
Yeah, I would have gotten them on my legs at that point. Like, sorry kids, these forearms are trash.
We are waiting on either Andy Reid or Patrick Mahomes to get to the dais in St. Joe on the first day of Chiefs training camp.
One of my favorite little corners of the internet is the YouTube chat for the Chiefs when they go live with. It's a very friendly place.
Yes.
Like, everyone's very nice to each other. Someone named Luigi Montagna just asked, is it supposed to be 3:15 Central Time?
Luigi Montagna.
That rules.
What a name.
That was my name. I'm not even 1% Italian, though, so that would be probably inappropriate.
We got some good ones. We got a lot of emojis in here. A gentleman named Dom says 3-peat is now out for delivery. Box emoji.
Mahomes, 6,000 yards, 6 touchdowns.
60 touchdowns.
60 touchdowns.
Big prediction by Jeremy in that YouTube live chat.
From John, Casey Mo is the only one who can say that we did it. I think
what
that's
is it?
I don't know. His previous comment just says "ready for this," so I'm really not sure what he's talking about.
Oh man, what a place! The internet, what a place!
This is the friendliest place online. Seriously, the friendliest place online is the Chiefs live chat during press conferences.
The second friendliest place is our YouTube live chat on our YouTube live stream. You can find us at 580 Sports Talk. You can jump into the comments. We always love to hear from you.
And even the Chiefs aren't usually 17 minutes late.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. They fall asleep.
It's going to be like the Lincoln Cure announcement. We're going to go to break, and it's like, here's Andy Reid or
Instantly.
Pat Mahomes.
I will be bitter forever.
Instantly.
It's Lincoln Cure all over again.
Lincoln, why did you forsake me like this?
Again, later on in the program today, we've got our Chiefs training camp storyline number 4. We've ranked the top 5 storylines entering training camp for the Chiefs this year. This is a broader league-wide storyline today, but I think the impact it will have for the Chiefs will be more pronounced than elsewhere, and I think it's a credit to their outstanding coaching staff and their veteran coaching staff that'll be the case. A little bit of a teaser there. We'll do that at the top of the 3 o'clock hour. Typically, we would have Michael Swain of Jayhawk Weekly join us on Tuesday. He will not be able to join us today. We're working on rescheduling Michael for later in the week, but we will talk some Big 12 footballs. We mentioned we got some realignment roundup to get to there. Plenty of baseball talk, plenty more baseball talk. We'll get back into the home run derby a little bit. And eventually, yes, we will hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. They are scheduled to speak. I'm triple checking the date, July 16th, 2024. That is, in fact, today.
It is.
That is, in fact, today. It is report day.
While we have a moment, while the Derby is coming up, we'll get to the newsy part of this later in the show and headlines. Ingrid Andress. Did you know anything about her before last night?
Not one thing.
They our pals who work down the hallway at the Big 94.5 Country have aired, because I've listened to it many times in the building, a couple of singles from her over time. One which was a breakup song, and one which unfortunately was titled "Wishful Drinking." That is unfortunately titled because it turns out she apparently has an alcohol problem, which she admitted today. Put that on her social media, said she's checking herself into rehab. I would like to preface this entire segment by saying, good for her. It is very hard to admit that you have a problem. It is very hard to seek out that kind of professional help. And after what I'm sure was the lowest she has maybe ever felt in her professional life, to seek that out, good for her. I truly, genuinely mean that. Was that the worst anthem of all time?
Carl Lewis.
Worse than Carl Lewis? I'm sorry, better than Carl Lewis?
This was better than Carl Lewis. This was better than Roseanne.
What?
But that is where that's like.
I was going to say Roseanne.
Fergie?
But here's the thing. Oh, man, Fergie. Oh, my God. I forgot about Fergie.
Fergie had the entire NBA All-Star roster laughing at her.
Remember when they chopped up like a remix of it? The entire Warriors roster was doing like trap rap dances to it in the locker room. Oh, my hell. That was the thing that really happened. So Ingrid Andress, I did learn something relevant about her last night because I saw on Twitter that she was wearing Rockies gear. She's wearing a Rockies hat, a Rockies All-Star hat, and her jersey had the Rockies patch on. I said, oh, great.
And you were like, oh, wow, she's into sadomasochism.
Clearly. Listen, that team has driven a lot of people to drink. But Miss Andress, her father was the strength conditioning coach for the Rockies for a spell in the 2000s, Brad Andress. So I don't know what level of nepotism strength coach to country musician is. I don't know what the pipeline there is, the Nepo baby pipeline, but she sang the national anthem last night, and it was horrid. And I was somewhere where they did not have the TV audio on watching the beginning of the Derby last night. It was out for dinner. And it didn't look strange. And then I looked up and I saw Alec Boehm look like he was trying not to laugh. And I said, uh-oh. I said, what's funny, Alec?
Yeah, I have a friend who's classically trained as a singer, and she has told me before hates the national anthem because it is
such a hard song to sing.
It's really hates it in terms of singing it because it's kind of weirdly arranged. There's actually 4 verses to it, but we only ever sing the first one at public events. And said it's so hard, and they especially hate when people try to kind of make it their own. Ms. Andress last night clearly tried to make it her own. Again, was under the influence of something while doing it, but
she made her own, all right.
Yeah, that was tough.
That rendition is one of one.
I'm just waiting for someone to sing the national anthem, but like a poem, you know? Oh, say, can you see?
Spoken
Like,
word.
yeah, just like read it like a poem, and just like the reaction. Would people boo? Like,
People have traditionally, it depends on the crowd. People have traditionally not been super kind to, let's say,
Beat poets?
personalized renditions of the national anthem. I mean, go look up how Jose Feliciano's rendition, I think it was the 1968 World Series, that was not well received. That was also a very different time in our country's history, but it was extremely not well received. Marvin Gaye at the NBA All-Star game in, I want to say 84, when it was in Los Angeles, Marvin Gaye did a Marvin Gaye sounding national anthem, and it went over great because that was that crowd.
Here is my stance. I've shared this before. Instrumental. Always do instrumental. It rips every time. Whether you're doing electric guitar.
Who's the guy that does the saxophone at Kansas City? He's a military. He's got a really unique name, and it is escaping me. But every time I see him, I say, "Oh, we're in good hands. This guy's gonna do great." Maybe it's a trumpet. It's some sort of
also if you play
brass
the instrumental like music like out of pre-record or whatever, then you know like okay, the anthem's gonna last 90 seconds or however long it's timed out. It's not gonna take 7 minutes for someone to sing the national anthem. You know, I mean, you get stand there, it's like, all right, you know, let's get it moving here.
Yeah. Bet the under when you get another instrumental for the national anthem. But yeah, that is my stance. Sax, trumpet, guitar, any of it. Go with the instrumental there. A couple of comments regarding that from the YouTube. Corbin says Chris Stapleton had one of the great ones at the Super Bowl.
Got a great voice. I like Chris Stapleton's voice.
I'm not a huge Stapleton guy, but he did do a really good job with it. Paul also ventures to add the best anthem ever is Arturo Sandoval at the 2009 Orange Bowl. I do not recall that.
Yeah, I can't say that I remember that.
The only musical performance I remember from the Orange Bowl was Ashley Simpson. Which
that was a career ender for Ashley.
Yes!
That was a genuine career ender. She wasn't even doing the anthem. She's doing her own song. Not well.
No, not well at all.
Between that and Saturday Night Live.
They used to play the end of that performance on Rome all the time on the Jim Rome show.
Yeah.
You make me want to scream. And Jim Rome used to play it a ton. Oh, gosh. Well, do we get to another? Should we go to commercial break?
Yeah, I think so.
Mr.
Pikachu says Borat's rendition of the national anthem. I like his rendition of the Kazakhstan national anthem. The Kazakhstan is the greatest.
Man, we were talking the other day about Will Ferrell movies from the and just the unbelievable run he was on in the mid to late 2000s. That was just, and I mean, it's because I was like 9 to 16 years old when all these movies came out, so obviously I found them funny. But like Borat, Napoleon Dynamite, and I know that one's a little more niche to some people. Like, we don't get movies like that anymore. Just like really stupid, funny.
I have never in my life been in a movie theater that laughed harder than the one I was in to see Borat. I was in college. A lot of students from where I went to school had made the trek to see the movie that night. I kept running into people I knew in the lobby. That theater was in hysterics the entire time. That is an all-time watching it in a crowded theater experience. And yeah, you don't get that with comedies these days because everything goes straight to streaming. But that's another topic for another day. We are going to take a break. I think Andy Reid is going to come to the podium at some point soon. So hopefully we will be able to play that for you here on 580 Sports Talk after this.
Let's get a Pitbull anthem. There's my addendum. We can have instrumental or Pitbull for all of the anthems.
It's just like nobody's topping. Like Vance has it right in the YouTube live chat. The best ever will forever be Whitney Houston at the Super Bowl, particularly in the context in which that one was performed. Right at the start of the Persian Gulf War. That is number one with there's no beating that.
It's kind of funny how, well, I don't know about funny. That's maybe not the right word, but the moment makes some of those performances stand out. Some like similarly, you're talking best first pitches, ceremonial first pitches of all time. Frankly, there's only one answer, and I don't think it's ever going to be even close. It's George Bush.
What was it? Was it game 3 of the World Series?
I
yes,
believe
game 3,
so.
because the first 2 were in Arizona. Yeah.
Wearing a bulletproof vest a month after one of the worst days, maybe the worst day, well, post-Civil War in American history.
Yeah.
Like, incredible. And the moment, the context of it lifts it all up. And yeah, same goes with Whitney Houston's performance.
Dotted the outside corner, too. Like
that's a strike.
Yes, that's the other part of it. Like he threw a strike. Like if he'd skipped it, there's the great story that the former president tells that Derek Jeter told him before he went on the field, "Don't bounce it, they'll boo you."
I'm looking back. I don't remember a lot of these anthem singers from the Super Bowl in recent years.
Yeah,
or
like maybe
really any of them.
Maybe this is a fuddy-duddy take, but like it's a little crass. We bet on the length of the national anthem.
Oh no, it is. It's degenerate.
It's a little crass, just a little bit. Like the national anthem should be solemn and special. It should mean something when we hear it. And I'm afraid that when we have a drunk woman sing it before the home run derby, or that when we do it before the NFL draft, that we devalue it just a little bit.
No, I agree with that take, honestly.
That we devalue the anthem just a little bit when it's compulsory at the beginning of everything, like, and not something that is intentional and selective about when we do it.
Like tonight. Yeah. The All-Star game, Major League Baseball, the America's pastime. Like, yes. And there should be a cool, big performance of it. Absolutely.
I have no idea who's doing the anthem.
No, I have no clue. I had no idea they did it before the Derby. I genuinely did not remember that. Here's a fun trivia question for you, by the way. We're still waiting on Andy Reid.
Yes, yes, we are here at 580 Sports Talk.
Here's a trivia question for you. Who is the only performer who has performed the anthem at the Super Bowl 3 times?
Don't know.
Marlee Matlin.
Oh, okay.
Do you know who Marlee Matlin is?
She's deaf. She signed the anthem.
She signed the anthem 3 times.
We are going to go now to the podium at St. Joe. Patrick Mahomes has approached the dais. We're going to hear from QB1 here on 580 Sports Talk.
And or is it more difficult than that? And what's your message this year? Any different than what it might normally be?
Not necessarily. I think for us, it's just we're back in St. Joe's. It's time to get better. Every season starts different. You got to come in with that same mentality you had the year before, even a higher intensity. And even though we won the Super Bowl last year, we felt like we didn't play our best football, especially offensively. So it's our goal to be better that way. And we have to come in with that mentality every single day.
Patrick, how do you emphasize the importance of the regular season, given what you just said, that maybe things didn't go well in the regular season, but you guys still survived and played well in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the end result was awesome, but I mean, I think a lot of us still have a weird feeling in our mouth because I mean, we really didn't play the football the way we wanted to play all year long, and it wasn't fun. I mean, every single week having to try to just continue to get better and better, and results not paying off the way you wanted to. It wasn't a lot of fun. We have a lot of those same guys back, and they know how that.
We've lost the feed of Patrick Mahomes. It appears now that we have it back.
If that's true, can you explain that, how that works?
Yeah, it's once you win the Super Bowl, I feel like even to another extreme, like when you don't win it, it sucks even more because you experience the off season of being able to say you're the champ, and you experience all the different things and activities you're able to do because you're a Super Bowl champ, and you experience the feeling of just winning the Super Bowl. And so for us, I'll speak for myself. I mean, when you don't win it now, it sucks because you know what it could be like if you were to go out there and win it.
Patrick, when it comes to the offense for you guys, every year it evolves, but this year, how excited are you with the new pieces in place to have that evolution and start working on that?
No, yeah, I'm extremely excited. I mean, we added a lot of speed. Obviously, y'all know that. But we also added just players in every single position group. And I'm excited for the offense to go out there and attack. And we have some of those young guys here at rookie minicamp, and we're excited to get a couple days with them and get some early work in with them and timing. And then adding the veteran guys as the week goes on, and trying to just continue to get better and better. And I mean, what better than going against our defense? I mean, it's the best defense in the NFL, and we get to go get some every single day and really show where we're at and how we can get better.
Because you've been through this so much, Patrick, how are you going to try to ease and sort of navigate Xavier through this? Because you guys probably will be relying on him pretty early on in the season.
I mean, there's no easing. Like he's going to have to get out and be ready to go. We got a lot of competition on this offense. Brett Veach and Coach Reid did a great job bringing a lot of competition in. And Xavier, I mean, he got a lot of mental work in these last few weeks that he had during OTAs and minicamp, but it's time to go now. And I mean, y'all saw it with Rashid last year and some of the throwing up days he had. I mean, we're gonna push you to the limit and prepare yourself to be ready to go for the season. And that's not just him; that's everybody. And everybody has to have that mentality when they come into camp.
Patrick, similar question for Wiley, the tight end. You did get to work with him a little bit during the offseason. What are you anticipating for him, really?
Yeah, I mean, I anticipate he comes in and learns and gets better and better. I mean, the physicality and the size and speed, you see that. But now we'll get to test the mental ability, and that tight end position is hard in the NFL, especially in Coach Reid's offense. Is you have to be able to block and make all the blocking assignments, but also do all the passing stuff too. And so he's done a great job with that so far, and we're going to keep pushing him and see what we can do. And there's going to be a lot of competition in that room, obviously with Travis and Noah, but even the other guys we have. And so I'm excited for him to get in and get the work and come back and hopefully be a big impact on our team.
Patrick, no team in the NFL has had as short of an offseason as you guys have had the last couple of years, especially. So as you get older, just how much of an emphasis do you put yourself on conditioning and being ready for another, what hopefully is another long run?
Yeah, no, it's it definitely it's a little bit of the negative of winning the Super Bowl is it shortens your off season, but I'll take it every time. I mean, it makes the off season that much more enjoyable, and obviously we started earlier this year I think than I'd ever started, but I mean, we're here to go out here and win football games, and that's our job, and so I'm excited for it. And it'll be a big emphasis of just preparing your body. And once you get here, Coach Reid will make sure to know if you're prepared or not.
Patrick, another year here in St. Joe. I mean, we're seeing vets like Nadi and Leo just show up early. Just how crucial is it for you guys to be all together in this kind of old school setting?
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, the only thing for me is leaving the family is always tough, like especially as the kids get older. But being in the building and being at lunch together, being at dinner together, always kind of being around the guys, you build this kind of culture and this family type brotherhood. And so I'm excited to continue to do that with a lot of new faces and then with guys that have been here before, because we know this is what it takes in order for us to go out there and be great.
Last year, one life for you.
This is my first year I'm bringing a TV. So I haven't brought a TV ever before, but NCAA came out, and I'm going to have to turn it on. So I brought a TV for NCAA and the Olympics. So that's my first year of doing that.
Along those lines, Chris wasn't here, and that was kind of hanging over. There's not question marks like that this year. Does that feel pretty good to not have those kind of things hanging around?
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to have everybody in the building, especially vets and guys I've built great relationships with. And so it doesn't – I'm not going to say it's awesome to see him on the other side of the ball because he can disrupt the play kind of whenever he wants. But it's always good to have everybody here because we all try to, like I said, build this brotherhood. And when we go through these tough days at camp and Coach Reid puts us to the test so that when we get in games, we can come together and really go out there and find ways to win. And I think that's why we've been able to have all these kind of late finishing comeback type of wins because Coach Reid tests us every single day.
I believe you guys go into their school's Hall of Fame, but I don't know if anybody gets their name, their logo, their initials on the field. What would that mean to you? How'd that come about?
Yeah, I think just the partnership with Texas Tech has been awesome. And then with Adidas coming in, and I've built such great relationships there, and I've kind of kept those relationships. And so it's really exciting that I'll be able to wear the Texas Tech stuff and not have to cover it up, the Under Armour logo and everything like that. And to have my logo on some of their gear is going to be really cool. And I'm excited for the future of the partnership. And I think it's just at the beginning now, and it's going to take off even more.
Just along more of the off-season lines, I mean, another child coming into the family, you can do Wimbledon, continue doing all these stuff with the business. Just how are you seeing yourself evolve, just trying to manage everything?
Yeah, I'm done. I'll say that. No, I said 3, and I'm done. So no, it's awesome. I always wanted to have kids young. I got to grow up in the locker room. I think I've talked about it before, and it made such an impact in my life. And so I wanted to have kids young, and we're having our third kid now to join our family. And Brittany does a great job of doing that, and we still go out and enjoy our life and let our kids see these great things. They might not be able to remember what videos of, and it is really cool because I spend so much time in the building at football for these 7, 8 months, and whenever I'm with my family, I want to enjoy those moments.
You look nervous watching Bobby last night.
Oh, I was very nervous, man. He was close, and I thought that last one was gone. But I was excited for the world to see his talent because, I mean, we've seen it the last few years here. I mean, he's a tremendous talent, one of the best players in the MLB, and I'm excited for the second half of the season. I'm excited for the All-Star game tonight, and then the second half of the season and seeing the Royals make a push at trying to get in the playoffs and see what they can do because it's been a long time building, and these young guys are ready for it.
Patrick, let's go two more, Sam and Vahe.
What's the process of getting Kingsley, ready to fly and involved in the system?
Yeah, I think it's just practice. I mean, it's not going to be perfect every single day, and we don't expect it to be, but we expect you to go out there and put your best effort forward every single rep. And it'll be a great competition in that O-line room, especially that left tackle spot. But we'll send kind of all those guys out there and just see who can go out there and compete and come out the best, and whoever wins the job wins the job. But I'm excited for the competition of it, and that's what you want in any team, in any position, is you want competition. And I'm excited for those guys to see who can kind of rise to the occasion.
I know that many camp doesn't have pads and everything, but what were just impressions of him?
Yeah, he got better and better, and he wasn't scared of the moment. I think that's a big thing. I mean, me coming in as a rookie, and I didn't even get thrown in with the ones like that. And I mean, he's coming straight in from combine training and thrown in with the ones, and he's competing. And he's not making the same mistakes twice. And I think that's huge. And so the pads will come on now. It's another step. It's another step in the journey for him. But I think he's excited for it, honestly. And so we'll see where we're at, and we'll keep building and try to see, like I said, who comes out on top at the end of the competition.
That is Patrick Mahomes, QB1, speaking today in St. Joe on the first day of Chiefs training camp. Andy Reid's going to follow him up. We will hear from the head coach of the Chiefs a little bit later on here on 580 Sports Talk. In fact, we'll hear from him in the next hour of the show. We'll also have a little random question Tuesday, but we'll kick off the 3 o'clock hour with our number 4 Chiefs training camp storyline. We've ranked our top 5 storylines. Storyline number 4 is coming your way to start the 3 o'clock hour. Hit us up on the Top City Metal Supply text line, 785-272-9429, or follow us in the YouTube live chat. We are on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. Jump on into the live chat. We are going to take a break. We will come back after the national and local news with hour number 2 of this Tuesday edition of 580 Sports Talk from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio. Let's get it. Hour number 2 of 580 Sports Talk on this Tuesday afternoon. Dan Lucero and Brendan Dworzinski in the box with you. Trenton Craxner, our summer intern across the glass, our producer engineer. Spencer Dupuis will be along later on in the program. We are delighted to be with you on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. And on our video stream, you can catch us on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk is the YouTube channel. You should subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you can know when we go live. You can watch our live programming. You can watch our archived programming as well. All it costs you is a click. And you can also, when you're watching on YouTube, interact with the live YouTube chat, which is a great way to interact with us, your humble hosts. You can also hit us up on the Top City Metal Supply text line. We'd love to hear from you on the Top City Metal Supply text line. That number is 785-272-9429. From construction sites to renovations, from the farm to the garage, Top City Metal Supply understands the value of precision and cost efficiency. No more wasted materials, no more wasted money, just metal cut to the exact size you need. Top City Metal Supply is located on South Topeka Boulevard, just north of Forbes Field. We have heard from Patrick Mahomes. We're going to hear from Andy Reid later on this hour. Reid was starting his press conference as we were obligated to be at a break. So we'll hold Andy Reid audio, and we will play it for you in its entirety at the bottom of this 3 o'clock hour. We'll also have a round of Random Question Tuesday as well. First, quick reaction to what Patrick Mahomes said. We had a lot of one-of-us moments with Patrick Mahomes, none of which occur when he is on the field.
No,
he's one of one.
Well, let me say this. Playing pickup, I have thrown a no-look pass before. It doesn't go to anyone. It goes away in the wrong direction, but I have done it.
Certainly not in the intended direction. But a one-of-us moment in that press conference where he said he's never brought a TV to training camp before, but he's doing it this year so he can watch the Olympics and play college football 25. Extremely relatable content there.
Yes, very.
I have to believe that there are a lot of NFL players who are going to be dusting off the sticks and making sure. Although the Chiefs are really one of just a handful of teams anymore that does an on-site training camp. Most training camps have moved to the team facilities, so guys are just like at their homes commuting each day and not in the dorms like they used to be, like the Chiefs are up there at Missouri Western. I don't know how many teams still do it the way the Chiefs do it, but it's a dwindling list.
Let's see. We can pull that up. Hold on. Give me one moment here. We're going to find this because I think either last year or the year before it was down to like 8 teams maybe that traveled.
So the Bills do theirs at St. John Fisher University in Rochester. Let's see. The Packers used to take theirs on the road. Now they just
to pair,
yeah. Now they just do theirs at home.
All right, here we go.
Chiefs are
that was
Western
a
State.
COVID change that just never went away. All right, so the Falcons, I think Flowery Branch is a suburb. I think that's where their headquarters is.
Yeah, that's their headquarters.
Yeah, Buffalo goes to Rochester. The Bears used to travel. They used to go to Bourbonnais. They called it Bear-Bonnet for a few weeks, but now they just do it at House Hall. The Bengals just do it at their field. Like, they don't move anywhere.
Dallas goes to California.
They still go to California.
And Vegas goes to California. The Raiders go to Costa Mesa.
Do they? I did not know that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Who else?
The Saints are going to UC Irvine.
Weird.
The Saints are going to do training camp in Irvine, California.
That's strange, right?
Steelers go to Latrobe still.
Yeah.
That's old school. They go up to St. Vincent College in Latrobe. That's it.
Wow, yeah, even fewer than I thought.
Everybody else, it's a complex or performance facility or training facility that is sponsored by the official hospital of the team or whatever it is. Yeah, that's. I guess the Rams go to Loyola Marymount, but that's in Los Angeles. I don't know if they have to all stay at the dorms or what their situation is at LMU. But yeah, that's the Chiefs and Andy Reid in particular, old school. That's old school right there to take your guys out of the comforts of their own homes, out of the comforts of their own locker room, and take them somewhere for 3 weeks. And players around the league say that the Chiefs camp is one of the toughest, if not the toughest in the entire league. And it's by design. You got an old school head coach. It's all kind of by design, part of the plan.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I think some of the new age approaches to the offseason and to training camp and the preseason, I agree with a lot of it, but like, how do you argue with what the Chiefs do? I don't think you can. And you can boil it down to, okay, well, they don't have to play any starters in the preseason. They could do all their stuff in KC Mo or KCK or wherever, and they'd be just fine because they have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. But you don't argue with what got you there. You don't argue with the process. And I know that, quote unquote, trust the process has become a joke because of the 76ers and the beginning of the true tanking era in professional sports. I know we had suck for luck before that and all, various other examples, but Sam Hinkie trust the process was the beginning of the, oh, well, let's just tank. More than anything, it was the beginning of fans saying, oh, well, we'll just tank. Yeah, because it always works trying to build yourself back up. Good luck with that. Go ask the Royals if it just works to tear down and rebuild and tank for a little bit. No, not that easy of a process. But the fact that the Chiefs always do the same thing, and the process has been the same for all of Andy Reid's career, and he gets the results, and he gets the best out of players, and he builds this team chemistry and team trust. How do you argue with that? I don't think you can. So while I understand why some players would say, oh my God, camp is brutal, I don't want to go do that. Do you want to win? Because if you do, this has a proven track record better than anything else.
There's proof of concept. If you're not bought into the idea of what the Chiefs are doing, 3 Lombardis. You can argue with that?
And even beyond that, because that's the number one selling point. But then even beyond that, you have to take the general, go back to 98 when Andy Reid, or was it 99 when Andy Reid took over the Eagles, and how much he won in Philly and was contending for Super Bowls and getting to NFC championship games and then getting to Kansas City, and what they have done and win and win and win, and went from winners to the best team and the ideal franchise in the NFL because of all these things they were doing. Yes, there are other factors in that, but it works, and you don't mess with what works. We had this same discussion in the fall last year about KU football. Do you remember when this came up, the discussion about deviating from your process in specific cases? It was before the Sunflower Showdown, because Jason Bean did not practice all week. And there was talk that he was actually healthy, or at least healthy enough to play, but was he going to get the start because he didn't take practice reps all week? And Michael Swain told us on the show, no, he's probably not going to start because Cole Ballard took all the first team reps. And that is how Lance Leipold does it. And I remember we had the debates on the show. I remember Jake was on the other side of the fence, and he was saying, no, look, you start your best players. That's what you should do. I am in the camp that, especially KU is an extreme example because of how bad the program was, but you dance with who brought you. If the process works, you don't just stick to it sometimes. You stick to it all the time. That has worked for the Chiefs. It has generally worked for Kansas. Lost that game, but it sure as hell wasn't Cole Ballard's fault KU lost that game. Like, you stick with what works. And with the Chiefs, their process works better than anyone else. Why would you change? And frankly, they're never going to change. And training camp is going to be in St. Joe until Andy Reid retires. And then immediately the Chiefs are going to move it all back to Casey Mo.
Another thing that the Chiefs are not going to do is joint practices. Barbara brings this up in the YouTube live chat. She keeps seeing headlines about the Chiefs won't do training camps with other teams. The Chiefs are one of only 2 teams that does not have a joint practice scheduled with another team. There are a lot of teams out there who love the joint practices.
Packers have done it 3 or 4 years in a row now.
They feel like they get more out of it. Some teams feel like they get more out of that than they do the preseason games themselves. The Chiefs are very against this, and you're going to hear Andy Reid address that when we play his press conference a little bit later on this hour. He's actually asked a question about that, and he's going to address why it is that the Chiefs don't do that. And to not spoil it too much, you're not going to get Andy Reid to see the value in it that other teams do. Andy Reid is never going to do that. So again, to your point, nothing's changing about the Chiefs' approach. something is changing in the rules in the National Football League for this coming season. And that's our top number 4 training camp storyline for the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, we've taken the top 5 storylines heading into camp, which opens on Sunday. Veteran Report Day is Friday, and then Sunday is the first open practice for fans. So there's a lot of first days in the process of this. This is a first day. Friday is report day. Sunday is first open practice. And we've ranked these storylines from 5 to 1 based on the impact we think they will have on this season. So today's storyline number 4 are the new kickoff rules, and how will one of football's best special teams units exploit these new rules. Smart teams always find ways to win on the fringes. That's true in every single sport, whether it's, money ball, whether it's, finding undervalued players and being able to sign them to smaller contracts, recreating Jason Giambi in the aggregate, in the movie. The smart teams always find ways to win on the fringes. And there are a few coaching staffs in this league smarter and more experienced than the one in Kansas City. And the proof of this coaching staff approaching this maybe differently than any other team was evident in OTAs when Justin Reid started talking about maybe being the kickoff guy for the Chiefs. To remind everyone, the new kickoff rule is such that instead of having the kickoff team run down the field as soon as the ball is kicked, the kickoff team instead is going to start down the field in an engagement zone, I guess, for lack of a better way to say it. They're going to be anywhere from 5 to 10 yards away from 9 return blockers. And then there will be 2 players that are back deep to return the kick. And once the ball is caught or once the ball hits the ground, then the blockers and the kickoff coverage team can move.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't move. You're in place until the ball is either caught or it hits the ground. So with that in mind, one of the ways that the Chiefs instantly looked to maybe exploit this or get better at kickoff coverage is to make your kickoff man a weapon in coverage. And that would certainly be the case if you have a safety doing the kickoffs rather than having Harrison Butker do it.
Yeah, and Justin Reid, when we played the clip a few weeks ago, I think you were out of town or you were out on paternity leave at the time, Dan, but Justin Reid was a guest on Chris Long's Greenlight podcast, and they were talking about this, talked about the Super Bowl, and they talked about this and said, hey, we love watching you because we know that you can kick and you're actually good at it. Are you actually going to be part of the kickoff team? And he said yes. And he very eloquently broke down why it makes sense to have another tackler out there, because you can plug every single gap then, and you don't have a kicker who, frankly, is just not equipped to do so. By the way, my takeaway from the entire conversation, and we played it on the show, Justin Reid is going to be able to do media if he wants. Very engaging speaker.
I've always thought Justin Reid is one of the more interesting guys to listen to talk on the Chiefs.
And he did a really good job of making it make sense and explaining, okay, well, here is how the gaps are going to work. It's just like defense. You want to plug every gap so there's no open lanes. When you don't have a tackler as your kicker, you're always going to have one of those extra gaps open with the way the new rules illustrate how you can line up for the kickoffs. But if I kick it and then I'm able to get there and get into one of those gaps, suddenly that makes it a lot tougher for the blockers and the return men. It made perfect sense, all things considered. And that's why I think the Chiefs are going to do this. I really do.
No, I 100% think they are. There was an interesting deep dive on the kickoff rule done by Sean Syed of Sumer Sports. And
it's a lot of S's.
It is a lot of S's. And he watched a lot of XFL football. To be precise, he watched all 400 kickoffs.
Wow, he swear he me.
From the 2023 XFL season. Because the XFL is the league from where this rule, these new kickoff rules, kind of germinated from. Now, there are some differences between how the XFL apply their rules in 2023 to how the NFL will apply their rules. But the conclusions, among the conclusions that Syed drew from watching all of this, is that kick coverage teams are going to look really different, and rosters might look different as a result. This is from the piece at sumersports.com. The new kickoff should open up opportunities for backup tight ends and end of the depth chart linebackers that are strong enough to anchor a block and agile enough to win with one quick move against a blocker. Positions that have been devalued in the modern NFL, like running backs and safeties, may also find themselves as prime players on kickoff and kick return, while cornerback types excel on the outside. So I wonder if that maybe changes some of the roster calculus for the Chiefs this year. We made a joke about it yesterday, but this is well known that Dave Toub gets a couple of roster spots every year, specifically for guys he likes for special teams.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Kemp has Dave Toub to thank. Dave Toub was his rabbi, essentially, his whole career. Reese Fountain's another one that he really liked. There have always been guys like that. I wonder, though, now if instead of being wide receivers, because we've seen a lot of wide receivers excel, and on punt coverage, there's still going to be room for the gunner, the fast guy who gets down the field.
Yes.
But on the kick return game, is that where you might see an extra linebacker make the roster or an extra safety make the roster, and maybe you only keep 8 or 9 offensive linemen as a result?
Yeah, I think it's a great question because speed is no longer the number one key, right? It's being able to tackle. It is sure tackling, as you illustrated there. I think it's certainly worth considering. Now, we just spent all that time talking about the Chiefs, and they're very set in their ways. And Andy Reid and his staff, they do things the way they've always done them. Maybe Dave Toub says, I don't care, and I like my wide receiver special teamers, and that's who's going to stay. And if so, so be it. But I think that's a really good point. And I think that is going to sort of change what those bottom of the roster guys look like. It's also going to change what game day active rosters are going to look like, because still you have to have 46 guys out of your 53 active, or if you promote from the practice squad, you get 48 out of 55 to be active any given week. You still have to deactivate 7 guys, but in any given game now, through 2023, over the last couple of years, if you went into the game scouting the other team and said, oh, Joe Smith is a great kick returner for our opponent this week, we're just going to kick it out of the end zone every time. Well, you don't need to worry about keeping linebacker XYZ on the roster on game day because you're not going to use him. He's an injury replacement only. You don't need that guy to be active because you're never going to actually kick the ball to the return man, because every kicker who's got the leg is good enough now to just put the ball right out of the end zone. Now, though, there will be some games where you say, hey, we're going to make them return every time. I don't think the Chiefs play the Jets this year, but as an example, Xavier Gipson, who was a rookie last year, good return man for the Jets. He can be a dangerous player. We want to have that extra safety. We want to have that extra linebacker out there to try to limit his returns as much as possible, because now it is even more punitive to kick a touchback. And there still might be some situations where teams say, whatever, screw it, we're just going to kick it out of the end zone and not even worry about it. I imagine with a multi-score lead at the end of games, that's probably going to be the case.
Yeah.
Essentially, your prevent defense times. Why even mess with it? Why even risk?
The 5 extra yards you get may not be worth it necessarily.
So you're going to get some interesting mixing and matching. I think we're at a point, assuming Reid does take this secondary kickoff job. If you see Harrison Butker go out for a kickoff, go grab a snack, go refill your beverage, because he's going to kick it out of the end zone. I think that's pretty obvious. But I'm really interested and excited to see how teams mix and match and make this look so much different. We do have a question here about the kickoff rule from Jason on YouTube, who says, what about onside kicks? So that is something that has caused at least a little bit of consternation among some football people, mostly like real nerds, like real into it nerds. Or you're like me and you just never punt and always onside kick in Madden, and that's why you're upset about this next part I'm going to get to. There are no more surprise onside kicks, effectively. That's out of the game. You have to tell the officials, we are going to onside kick here. And then you go about your regular onside kick procedures, and you're able to do that. So this takes that out of the game, which, is that good? I don't know. Is it overwhelmingly bad? I also don't know about that. I mean, we've got cool ones from memory. Pat McAfee once did a surprise onside kick, and everybody was going deep, and he just tapped it with his foot, ran up, and covered it at 10 yards.
To himself, yeah.
Significant highlight from his career. Of course, famously in, who was the kicker? Was it Garrett Hartley in Super Bowl 44? Was he kicking for the Saints at that time? The surprise onside to start the second half against the Colts?
Yeah, I think.
Hit Hank Basket right in the chest. He
Yes,
wasn't
it
ready
did.
for it. Those are cool moments, but are they prevalent enough to keep that in the game if you're improving every other kickoff 1 through a million the rest of the season? Frankly, probably not. It's a greater good kind of thing. So the surprise onside is out. Regular onside kicks are staying in. We are just not going to get surprise onside kicks anymore.
So, yeah, that is something that has been eliminated from the game. We had a texter from the 785 and the Top City Middle Supply text line asked the same question. So, yeah, you're not going to see those except in the fourth quarter, and you have to tell the other team that it's coming. So, the surprise onside kick.
I guess in theory, you don't have to wait till the fourth quarter to do it.
No, I think you are. I think you are. They are only allowed in the fourth quarter as declared by the trailing team, according to what I'm reading.
Is that from Sean Syed?
Yes. Onside kick. Fourth quarter begins. The team trailing has the opportunity to declare an onside kick to the officials, and current onside kick rules would apply.
Interesting. I did not realize that.
So, yeah, no game opening. Sean Payton in shambles. No game opening onside kicks. The idea, of course, is to incentivize teams to return the kick. And that's where now the return specialist maybe becomes a bigger part of the game. And the flip side of that for the Chiefs, or the way that the Chiefs may be looking to apply that, is bringing in a player with no football experience, but rugby experience. Because, frankly, the kick return now feels a bit more like a rugby play than it does a football play.
One other note that's probably worth bringing up here. I did not know this. I had not seen anything about this. You only get 2 onside kicks a game. So you know who else is in shambles? Younghoe Koo. I did not know that. So if you're down 3 scores, you only get 2 shots at onside kicks. I don't like that. I will be honest with you. I do not like that. That's a legitimate strategy thing you're taking.
Where are you seeing that?
I'm seeing that from Shireen Williams of Pro Football Talk. Published in March.
Are we sure that's what got passed? Because I'm looking at the NFL's operations page now. And it does say fourth quarter begins. The team trailing has the opportunity to declare an onside kick. It doesn't say that there's a limit.
This was published exactly 2 hours after the NFL passed the rule in March.
Okay. Then this is not thorough enough, clearly.
Interesting.
We're all kind of learning these rules as we go, apparently.
And again, that's something else that how often does that happen where you're kicking 3 onside kicks in a game? Almost never. But taking that away that totally changes the game.
A question here from Pikachu on the YouTube live chat. I'm so glad I got to say that out loud today. Thank you, Mr. Pikachu, for watching and commenting. What are the chances of returns for touchdowns? Do you think they'll increase? I do.
Yes, I do too.
I do think we'll see more return touchdowns. And I do think that the smart teams, which again, I think the Chiefs are one. I think they're one of the smartest teams, are going to try to find edges in kick coverage. Justin Reid might be one of those edges. And try and find edges in the return game. And maybe Louis Rees-Zammit is your edge there, maneuvering through a crowd of players like it's a rugby play. Like maybe more familiarity with how that play feels, how to follow your blocks. Maybe that's something that's really helpful. Maybe it's not, but it's worth trying, right?
Yes.
And the Chiefs are going to be on the vanguard of this stuff.
Dangerously close to the Chiefs becoming the lateral team. Travis Kelce loves throwing laterals.
Yes, he does.
Louis Rees-Zammit is all about it. He's a rugby player. That's a big part of that sport. They are getting dangerously close to being the team of the future, which is actually just the team of the 1910s and just throwing laterals all over the place. One other addition, just my thought on what Mr. Pikachu had to ask us on YouTube. First of all, do you prefer Mr. or Detective, sir? Also, I do think this is going to increase touchdowns because one fun element of this, once you get past the line of coverage men, you know who's back there to stop you? No one. So the thing that we might be losing here with the kickoff returns is the 40-yard return to midfield or starting field position at the 46-yard line on the plus side of midfield. Nah, man, you get past the 30, you're gone because it's you in a foot race with a kicker who's got a bad angle and doesn't know how to tackle.
Unless that kicker is also your starting free safety.
Yes, that is true.
Because he knows angles and he knows how to tackle.
Which, again, is an edge that most teams do not have. Now, I'm fascinated by this. I'm excited. I think this was a good call by the Rules Committee. And I think the Chiefs are as well equipped as anyone because no one would have ever thought 3 years ago that the uniqueness of Justin Reid would pay this kind of dividend. But it actually turns out the Chiefs have one of the most unique players in the entire NFL. An above-average coverage safety who's also an above-average tackler and probably better than at least a half a dozen kickers currently in the league.
I would say so,
if not more.
I wonder if they knew that when they signed him. They were using their third eye. They were using the crystal ball. They knew exactly how valuable Justin Reid was when they made a point to sign him.
I was joking with you earlier when we were talking about this piece from Sumer Sports. Justin Reid is going to play himself into an extension. I thought when he signed for 3 years, $24 million before the 22 season, no chance. He's going to play out the 3 years. They'll let him walk just like they did with Tyrann Mathieu, rinse and repeat. He might play himself into a multi-year contract extension if he's this valuable on special teams.
Yeah, he really might. I think that's entirely possible. That's storyline number 4 for the Chiefs as they enter training camp. We'll do storyline number 3 tomorrow. We'll hear from the head coach, Andy Reid, later this hour. But first, a round of Random Question Tuesday as we keep things rolling on this Tuesday edition of 580 Sports Talk live from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio. Random Question Tuesday on 580 Sports Talk. I have a very simple one to start us off.
Fitting, I'm a very simple man.
New metal, yay or nay?
I mean, in terms of like actual artistic quality of the music, that's probably a nay, but I don't know, man. One Step Closer by Linkin Park makes me want to like put my fist through 80 windows.
Still a good song.
Yeah, no,
still goes.
That's still crazy. Freak on a Leash by Korn, still crazy.
I was gonna say Blind by Korn.
There's a number of Korn songs that still go crazy.
So I recently became aware of a Twitter account called Great Moments in New Metal History.
It's tremendous.
It posts a lot, and not all of it is like related to even music in any way. But every now and again, it will post like a song where I'm like, wait a minute, I really liked Duality by Slipknot when I was 14 years old. I really dug that song. Wait, is it still good? Whoa, it is. It is. It's still awesome. A lot of those songs, Again and Again by Taproot, absolutely.
Listen, man, I'm going to tell you something. I know this one is a very memorable one because they were such a big deal at one point. I'm going to be honest with you. If you played right now Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit, I would sing every single word. I'd probably jump on the table and smash something. It's unbelievable. It really is that good.
Not all of it holds up, certainly. But the stuff that does hold up. I'm trying to remember where I was. I was at a grocery store. I was at a Dillon's, and I'm walking. I was running some kind of errand, and I'm walking out of the store, and a car is driving in front of the store, and it had its windows down, and Down with the Sickness by Disturbed was playing at the same volume that I would have played that song out of my car my junior year of high school.
That song also is incredible.
Yes, still very good. David Draymond could sing, man.
I still know all the words to the interlude they won't play on the radio.
I remember.
Don't do it again.
I do. I remember it. We got a yay from our guy Pikachu as well on the YouTube live chat. So good. I'm glad that we are a pro new metal household here on 580 Sports Talk.
Band that I still have maybe on a couple different playlists, like Saliva. Yeah, absolutely. Click, click, boom. Great. POD, which was like really blending a whole lot of weird stuff.
Welcome to Southtown. Yes,
yeah.
100%.
Yeah, POD. You want to talk about going crazy? Absolutely. All right, mine is sports related. How did I phrase this question? I wrote it down. What was the best sports stretch /day /week or weekend of your life as a fan?
You know, it's funny how this has worked, right? Like my favorite NBA and NHL teams have each won championships in the last 3 years. The Avalanche in 22, the Nuggets in 23. Both of those years, their counterpart went out early. Nuggets lost in the first round in 22. The Avs were upset in the first round in 23. Both years in recent vintage that the Avalanche and Nuggets have won their first round series, they both lost pretty painfully in round 2. Like we're talking game 7 losses, blown leads, overtime losses, the whole deal. So those aren't like fun in retrospect because they didn't go great. However, there's a lot to be said for there's a playoff game every night. Like, because they alternate, right? Like, especially, if you've got an NBA and NHL team in the same building, they tend to alternate nights. So there was a stretch in 2019 where for 17 consecutive nights, there was either an Avalanche playoff game or a Nuggets playoff game. And like some of those went overtime. The Nuggets went 4 overtimes with Portland. And I think it was game 3 of their semifinal series. And then, of course, the Avs lose game 7 of their semifinal and the Nuggets blow game 7 at home in their semifinal that year. So that wasn't fun. But like when you've got a hockey and a basketball team you care about and they're playing every single night, that is super fun. But of course, for me, the correct answer is October of 2007 with the Rockies when they could not lose.
Oh, yeah.
They won 13-14 to force a tiebreaker. They win the tiebreaker, and they start the playoffs 7-0. That will never be duplicated. That was incredible. I felt like I was floating for an entire month.
For me, I would have to. There's a couple of different answers here. Spring of 2022, really April of 2022, is at least in the running. KU finally beat Villanova in a meaningful game, won a national championship. I got married a week and a half later, and then he's barely played because he's been hurt all the time. But then the Packers drafted Christian Watson and Romeo Dobbs at the end of that month, and Dobbs has been healthy and great. So that was a very good sports month for me. The 2015 Cubs, the second half of that year, I will probably never in my life see a better half a season of pitching than what Jake Arrieta did that year. It's maybe the greatest of all time, which is kind of ridiculous for a guy who had like a 3-year peak and otherwise was not very good in his career. He was untouchable. That Cubs team was not expected to be nearly that good, and they made it to the divisional series, which was, they made it to the championship series against the Mets, and that didn't end well.
No.
It, in fact, ended really badly, but they won the World Series the next year. So that run is there. But the fall of 2016 would have to be the answer. Cubs finally won the World Series from November 28th through the end of the regular season. In fact, into the playoffs, the Packers won 7 straight games. That was when Aaron Rodgers said, we just got to run the table, and then did to win the division and make the playoffs. Also, it ended up not being a good thing because David Beatty got an extension after this, but that was also the first time KU had beaten Texas since the 1930s, and that was hysterical. Genuinely still funny 8 years later.
I was in attendance for that game.
Yeah, I called the game for student radio. I have video. It's like 15 minutes long. It took a really long time for that tiny ass crowd to tear the goalpost down. But yes, I remember it quite well.
Time for a break. Andy Reid next on 580 Sports Talk. .580 Sports Talk, 3:45 on this Tuesday afternoon. Head coach Andy Reid spoke on the day of reporting for rookies and quarterbacks to Chiefs training camp in St. Joe. Here's Big Red.
First of all, good to see everybody back, and ready to go. Just on the injury front, B.J. Thompson will start on NFI. He's still going through some procedures. He's doing great, but he's going through some procedures as we talk here. So he'll keep going with that, and then we'll keep you updated as we go. On the PUP list, Jalen Watson, Omenihu, Nadi, and Tooney will probably start on that. We still have a few days before all that goes on, but we'll just see where we're at with that. And really, those are kind of the main guys that were injured. Chanel will be up here, Nazi will be up here, and Worthy will be back. He's doing well. You just saw him come in, so he's doing well on his rehab from his hamstring. So all in all, listen, we look forward to being back here. We love the setup here with the people here treat us great at Missouri Western State University, and it's beautiful facilities. It's great to be able to get away and from the city and be able to house guys in the same dorm. And I'm saying this as a coach, they're probably not going to say this, but it builds a certain camaraderie as you go, and you're eating together, you're sleeping in the same building together. So it's you can't help but talk to each other. And in today's world, that's a positive thing. So anyways, time's yours.
Andy, what are your expectations for the 4 guys on PUP that you listed, when they might be back?
Yeah, I think they're all a little different. And listen, something might happen different by the time we get the vets in here, and we have to do it. I was just giving you a heads up on kind of what we're thinking there on that as we start. So, but we'll see how whether they get cleared or not cleared.
Specifically with Joe Tooney, I mean,
Joe's doing great, and he's close.
So you don't expect it to be long if he can't practice right away?
Yeah, I don't think it will be, but we'll see, Adam. We'll just see how it goes.
Coach, is Xavier Worthy now full go after missing the OTA?
Yes. Yeah. We'll ease them in. We're not going to just give them every rep. So the lines are kind of short here, right? So, all right.
Following up on that,
Yeah.
how valuable will this next 3 days be for a player like Xavier before the veterans arrive over the weekend to just get reps and get time in with Patrick?
Yeah, this is great. I think it's great for all these guys just to get in and become familiar, go through it one more time, and before the veterans get in, everything's going 100 miles an hour. So it's slowed down. They'll get the same install, the first 3 installs for when the vets get in. So I think it's a real positive for everybody, and especially Xavier, who didn't have the opportunity to be out on the field. Just going through those routes and doing what he needs to do there will also be positive.
Coach, I know you guys fight complacency, but how in the world? I mean, you guys went 2 straight Super Bowls, a lot of those guys back. How do you keep guys to be hungry and still back?
Yeah, so I think we all know in the NFL, every year is its own year. And we've said that every year along the way here. And so you've got to stay on top of your game. You got to practice. You got to go through this camp and be in condition so you can perform well mentally and physically once the games come around. So it all starts from scratch, and it happens over. We talked about it in the off season, and I think the guys will be ready to go.
How much do you rely on guys like Pat and Kelsey, your veteran leaders, to sort of get that message across?
Yeah, they're great with it. That's what I was saying before we had the break. I appreciate that leadership. Chris Jones, Bolton. I mean, these guys that have been around here, they do a nice job with it. When players start helping players out and helping them understand what's going on, normally you have a pretty good thing going. And these guys, we're lucky to have that leadership.
How do you see that? Like, what specifically do you see that you like from those guys?
Yeah, they go 100 miles an hour, and they make everybody around them go 100 miles an hour. So while the coaches are kicking them a little bit, the players are kicking them, and that peer pressure, there's nothing like that.
Andy, where does last year's regular season sit as far as, do you mention that to the guys as an example for the ways you need to get better? Just where does that?
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about it in the off season. That won't be a big thing coming into this camp. The guys know we had our ups and downs. I just expect them the young guys that were here last year to continue to build on what they finished with. I thought we finished strong on both sides of the ball and special teams. It's important that and we had a nice off season where we were able to practice some of the kickoff return stuff. And so let's pick up where we left off and get better.
Andy, what is it about Patrick that makes you know that he's just getting hungrier instead of more satisfied? What's inside him that tells you that?
The one great thing about Patrick is he's always going to work in his game, and then he always wants more. And so as coaches, you can't ask for more than that. And that's why we're in it. We're trying to give you one more nugget, Vahe, so you can be greater than you already are. Right? So that's what the great players do. They want you to dig as a coach and find something, man. Give me something here that can help me and become better than what I am.
And one other thing just is about where we're standing. I get the feeling if you guys had a 5-star hotel available right here, you wouldn't take it. You'd be here. And there's a reason for that. What is it you get out of the Spartan aspect of this?
Yeah, well, listen, I don't want to slight the university because they actually renovated here a little bit and done some things in here. But
your wishes, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I look forward to our meeting at the end of this where you guys get a taste of it. But the cinder blocks are still cinder blocks, no matter how you cut it. Well, I'm sure most of us have been in those buildings before, so that part hasn't changed. It seems like dorms are kind of that's the way they are everywhere. So.
Is there something to that, though, that it's like you want the conditions to be, understood to be kind of grueling?
Yeah, listen, there's a certain toughness that this game, requires. And so, and I think if you talk to the old veterans, they're going to tell you, well, it's not as tough as it used to be. But it's there's still a part of it that it's a tough guy sport. And lady sport for where we're going with all the flag football and that. So we've got that part of it going, and it's important that you develop that. And if you're fatigued, then you're going to be fatigued mentally. If you're fatigued physically, that's going to affect you mentally. And if you're fatigued, period, then you can't think and you can't play, at least not to the best of your ability. So the objective here is let's get ourselves in shape. Make sure we're in football shape. They're all going to come back in shape, but let's get ourselves in football shape, both mentally and physically, so that we can perform at our best. And the guys understand that. I mean, that makes sense. So we try not to ask the guys to do anything that doesn't make sense. And if they have a question, ask us. I mean, everything's got a purpose of why we do it, and ask if you don't know. So that's kind of how we go about it.
And you talk about with regard to Rashee Rice, what are you expecting in terms of the suspension?
Yeah, I don't know that, Adam. I haven't heard anything up to this point. So I've just let all the people in charge do that that are looking over that part of it.
And you talk about easing Worthy in. I mean, we talked to Patrick, and he just said there's no easing him in. Like he's going to get that regular rookie, water through the fire.
Sure.
Rookie. Just how important is that for young players to get?
Yeah, I think he's looking forward to it. Actually, I think so. He wants to get in there and go. It was driving him crazy to have to watch. You don't want to be the number one pick, come in and be sitting on the bench, and watching. So he's a competitive kid that wants to be in there, and we're going to get him going. We just we got to see how he's doing here. And like I said, in this rookie camp, these lines are short, so they're going to get plenty of reps. You just don't want him re-hurting the thing and setting himself back.
Andy, when it comes to the evolution of the offense every offseason, what are your conversations like with Patrick trying to make sure that you're putting in different wrinkles and everything? How does that start here in camp?
Yeah, it actually starts in the OTAs. That's where you introduce all of the new stuff to the guys, and then you get reps on it now. So you get a few in the OTA, but now you get reps and reps and reps on the new stuff. So it'll be great for the guys to be able to get that and kind of perfect some of these things that we've tried to incorporate.
All right, guys, we've got time for a few more. Let's go Lebo, Matt, Derek, and then Mick. Go ahead, Tom.
Coach, we see what a lot of your guys do on the offseason and because they're on social media. You don't have a very big social media presence. I think you like it that way. But did you have some fun? And I know you like to work and draw plays. Did you have any revelations, any good stuff that you found in those hours?
I don't know about revelations. I'm not sure about that. But I had a chance to look at our stuff. I try to spend a little time doing that when I'm away, and I enjoy doing that part. And as far as relaxing, absolutely, I had a chance to do that, and I got a little sun and a little beach air, and that's good, right? So, but I'm ready to go, and I know these guys are ready to go. I know you're ready to go, man. That right hand is ready to roll, man.
Matt, Coach, I believe you and the Raiders are the last two teams standing that don't do any joint practices. I know you said before you don't want to give anything away for free. Is that kind of still your philosophy, or do you think you'd ever change on that?
Well, I think the way we go about it, I think we go fast, we practice hard, we do those things amongst ourselves, and the guys challenge each other. And I don't think there's a better way to do it if your guys are willing to do that. And our guys challenge, they're up for that challenge. Plus, you're not giving things away, so you can't help but do that. And then you're not having those skirmishes that you get in some of these inter squad deals. And no matter how much you talk, it's still, you put on a different uniform, you're the enemy. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's joint practices or not.
Last one, Nick. I got a tough one. You're gonna be in a movie. How are your acting chops?
I'm not real good at that, but I only had about 7 words. I can handle that. I can handle 7 words.
What was the line?
No, I can't. I'm under contract.
That was Andy Reid. 4 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk coming up after this. Let's get it. 4 o'clock hour, this Tuesday edition of 580 Sports Talk. I am Dan Lucero. Brendan Dworzinski is in the studio with me. Trenton Craxner, our summer intern, is across the glass. Our producer engineer, and Spencer Dupuis will be along a little bit later on in the program. Thanks for being with us. Hope you stayed dry and safe this morning. A little storm that moved through a good part of our listening area. Saw some reports of some downed trees. Hopefully no casualties out there among you folks and or anyone you know, frankly. And hopefully you've got power back and all that good stuff.
You get any damage?
No, we're all good.
Nice.
As far as I know. I mean, we had our hands full this morning. Today we ordered a dishwasher.
Mm-hmm.
We needed to replace our old dishwasher. It finally bit the dust. And we were scheduled to have a delivery, an install, and a haul away of our old dishwasher. And the gentleman contracted by, well, I won't say where we ordered the dishwasher from, but it's a depot of homes. And they contracted a gentleman to perform that job. And basically came to our house. I was not home while this was happening, and told my wife, actually, no, this is going to be too hard. So here's your dishwasher, but I'm not doing the rest of the job. We'll refund you. So I got a big dishwasher in a box sitting in our kitchen. We also had a plumber coming in today for an unrelated job. And we asked them, hey, can you figure out why, we whoever did the plumbing when they built our house should honestly be tried at The Hague for their crimes. It's so bad. Like the plumbing in our house is just like, you've got pipes that lead to nowhere, like really hard to access. Like it is a plumber's nightmare. I feel bad for anybody who has to do plumbing work at our house, genuinely. But and one dude that came with our dishwasher was just like, it's not going to be my problem today. I got other things to do. See ya.
Wow.
Yeah. So, be careful who you contract with. And this certain depot of homes should definitely not hire this jackass again. But the plumber that came by said, yeah, you've got an old dishwasher and it's like wired a certain way or hooked up a certain way to where the water comes from, and it needs to be done a different way. We're like, well, okay, do it the other way.
Do it then.
Well, I'm not an appliance guy. Call us an appliance guy. Long story short, we did get our other plumbing issue fixed, and we do have a contractor coming tomorrow who's going to install the dishwasher.
That's good.
We've been washing baby bottles by hand for the last 2 weeks, waiting for our home warranty company to send somebody out to tell us that the dishwasher is beyond repair, which is something we knew instantly. It's something I knew the instant I walked into the kitchen and my socks got wet 2 weeks ago. Had to wait for that. And, wait for go buy one, wait for the reimbursement from the from the warranty company, wait for the day of the install and the delivery. And then for that guy to show up and do a third of his job, he's lucky I wasn't home. Let me just say it. He's lucky I wasn't home. So we had our hands full a little bit this morning. So we honestly, the tree in our backyard could have fallen down and we would not have noticed.
That's fair. That's totally reasonable.
Hopefully things okay at Casa Dworzinski.
We only have one tree. There's nothing to be damaged.
Well, that's good.
We do have an electrical pole in our backyard, but it's sturdy, so that's fine. We have one tree, which when mowing the lawn makes it very hot.
Yes.
But I mean, we get some a couple twigs that fall. That's pretty much it. So no, we were all good. I was mad because I was going to mow at some point today, which I'm probably not going to do with a wet lawn now. But
that's probably not going to happen.
But no, other than that, we're good. I slept. Do you wake up with storms?
Not typically.
Me either.
I wake up for other reasons now with a 6-week-old in the house. I wake up for other reasons. I was up at 2 a.m. No, he didn't make it to it. That was last night. That was the night before. This last night, put him down around 9. He woke up about 12:30. Got him a bottle. Right back to bed.
I'd sleep through the A-bomb. You dropped a nuclear weapon on Topeka, I'd sleep through it.
You're gonna think that, and when the day arrives that you have a baby in the house, if you and your wife are so blessed, and that day arrives, you will wake up at the drop of a hat. Like you.
I'm sure.
Yes, you hear like a cough, and Bolt, wait, is there anything I can do for you? And chances are that's just active sleep, and you can go back to bed. But no, it will surprise you how alert you become because I always felt the same way that I would sleep through the apocalypse. As it turns out, I cannot sleep through my baby being mildly inconvenienced.
I might just not sleep.
Well, there's that too.
I'll just stay up.
Yeah, you are a big, you burn the midnight oil kind of guy.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
So yeah,
why be healthy?
You could be.
Yeah, see? Exactly. The fans of the plan agree with that statement.
One of those days here in the Kansas Drive to Zero studio. Visit kansasdrivetozero.com for more on the Fans with a Plan program. Always designate a sober driver or a ride share. I figured they deserve a little extra love if their sign's going to fall down in our studio for folks to see on the live video stream. Hopefully you're watching us on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk, or maybe you're watching us on Facebook at WIBW News. Either way, you can interact with the show, leave a comment, join the YouTube live chat. You can also hit us up on the Top City Metal Supply text line, 785-272-9429. That's 785-272-9429.
I thought that Andy Reid quip at the end of his media availability today was very funny.
Yes, you got a great sense of humor. Andy Reid has a legitimate gift for comedy. Like, I know he can downplay the whole "I'm not a great actor" thing. They were asking about his role in the upcoming soon-to-be Hallmark TV smash Holiday Touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
He can downplay his acting chops all he wants, but I think he's genuinely got comedic timing.
Oh, he definitely does. All right, what's the guess? What are you guessing his 7 words are?
Go to Q39, get mac and cheese. That's 7 words.
Ho, 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 how about those Chiefs?
Ah, there you go. That's an even better guess.
That's
I can't wait to watch that movie.
It's going to be so bad.
It's going to be horrendous. I cannot wait.
I'm excited to see what they have Trey Smith do. I think Trey Smith is a very engaging guy. I hope they gave him multiple lines in this movie.
I do too. Him and George Karlaftis. I think George could have like Alex Karras' Mongo in Blazing Saddles type energy to his acting chops.
That's funny.
Still to come on 580 Sports Talk. Realignment Roundup. We do. We have more realignment rumor mongering to talk about. We'll have our sports headlines in the 5 o'clock hour, preview tonight's Major League Baseball All-Star Game, and in just a bit, 2 new stories on what is wrong with you. But we opened this hour by looking back at last night. It was the only game in town, so to speak, the Home Run Derby last night, which I have just seen got the worst TV ratings for any Home Run Derby in the last 10 years. Now, it is not always that the Home Run Derby goes up against a major news event like night 1 of the Republican National Convention, which soundly beat the Home Run Derby in the ratings last night. That may have contributed a bit. But, ratings were down a little bit last night, but still a healthy audience, close to 6 million people tuned in to watch the Home Run Derby. Teoscar Hernandez is the winner. I have to be honest, as I was watching it live, and I watched the whole thing. When I started watching, at the very beginning of Teoscar's first round, it took 3 swings, and I thought to myself, he could win this.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing that plays really well in a Home Run Derby, especially now that it's a timed event, is easy power. You're not having to overswing it to hit the ball hard and far. And Teoscar Hernandez had, I think, by far the easiest power of anybody in that event last night. The most natural, easy power.
Honestly, I think the 2 finalists both did. Yeah. I thought some of the Witt home runs looked pretty dang easy, too.
Yeah, especially the ones he was just line drive lasers. He was hooking around the foul pole there in left field. Teoscar Hernandez of the Dodgers, your winner, beating Bobby Witt Jr. in a dramatic finale. And after the event, I heard from a good friend of mine who, we've been friends going back to high school. We played baseball together. So this is a baseball fan. This is somebody who enjoys the sport of baseball. They live in Cincinnati, National League City, grew up in Colorado with me. So, National League sympathies. But, a baseball fan, somebody who knows the game, but somebody maybe not familiar with Bobby Witt Jr.'s game. And he hit me up on Twitter. He said, man, Royals fans have to love this guy. And
correct.
Yeah. 2 responses there. 1, man, you don't know the half. And number 2, it really sort of, it's anecdotal, but everything is anecdotal. really drove home the idea that last night was something like a star-making performance. Even in defeat, even though he did not win the home run derby, it was a star-making performance for Bobby Witt Jr. And there are two things I have to say about that. Number one, how often is it that the guy who doesn't win ends up being the biggest star of the night? Feels like that happens a lot. Like, who won in Yankee Stadium that one year that Josh Hamilton hit all those home runs? Was it like Justin Morneau?
I think it was Morneau because it wasn't Josh Hamilton.
But yeah, you don't remember that, but you remember Josh Hamilton hitting all those home runs in the first round. Like, you remember the shows. You remember the guys who put on the most impressive displays. And I think even with Teoscar Hernandez and some of the easy power that he had, Bobby Witt Jr. was the most fun guy to watch throughout the event.
Yeah, Josh Hamilton hit 28 home runs in the first round, 7 in the final 2 rounds, and lost.
That was a, like, where were you when this is happening moment.
Yeah.
Like, that was an incredible...
Chris Berman was built for that.
Yes, that was incredible. Like, I thought he was going to hit some balls out of Yankee Stadium entirely. That was an all-time great, like, baseball moment.
Yeah, it was.
Especially because at the time, the Josh Hamilton story was front and center and very heartwarming, and it's taken some unfortunate turns after his playing career. But at the time, Josh Hamilton was one of the great stories in sports, and that was a special night. Bobby Witt Jr., I think, stole the show in a similar way, that you don't have to win this event to be the story coming out of the event. And the other part of it, too, is, look, the Royals have been the dregs of the American League since the end of their back-to-back pennant run. They have not really been competitive. They have not really been in the mix for playoff spots. Last year, they were one of the worst teams in all of baseball. So for them to be back in the national spotlight is going to take some time. It's going to take some convincing. The Royals are not all of a sudden going to be all over Sunday Night Baseball. Even when they were winning pennants, they weren't. They're not going to be front and center on Fox Saturday Baseball or get a bunch of national TV time slots or streaming window time slots like they had the one Apple TV game earlier this year. But that doesn't happen real often for this Royals team, which means last night was the first chance a lot of people got to see Bobby Witt Jr., and they got to see what we, as people who watch the Royals all the time, already know, is that Bobby Witt Jr. does awesome stuff with a baseball uniform on.
Honestly, I think that could change with a little time, because if you go back, you mentioned they weren't even on national TV a whole lot when they were winning pennants. I will say this as someone who was admittedly not actively rooting for the Royals in either 2014 or 2015. Our team is good enough on offense, plays good defense, and has a strong bullpen is not exactly like what you want to put on the marquee. That's not exactly, oh, hell yeah, this is real baseball.
Yeah, there wasn't a superstar. Like,
no.
The Royals did not have, and I thought this at the time, like the Royals didn't have a guy who was like the best in the game at his position, or maybe even like a top 3 in the game at their position. But they
except relief pitchers.
Yes, they had maybe the 3 of the 5 best relievers in the game. Like Wade Davis in 2015 was the best relief pitcher in baseball. But they had like 6 top 10 guys at their position. Like Gordon and Moustakas at that time, and Perez and Lorenzo Cain. Like, they had a bunch of guys who were really, really good.
Hosmer, when he was on, could be that good.
Hosmer was a top 10 first baseman at the time.
Frankly, Hosmer was the one who got a lot of the attention, and I don't mean to belittle his bait, because, the end of his career did not go well, but his best years with the Royals were pretty good. He was hot. I'm sorry to give you a Colin Cowherd take, but he was hot. Like,
he was a good talker. He's good behind the microphone. Like, he was the voice.
Yes,
like,
and that is, but like, I think that kind of illustrates your point. Like, he was kind of the face of that.
The camera found him.
He was like the 5th best player on the team, maybe.
Yeah.
Like that. There wasn't a superstar. It wasn't a team that gripped you in that way. They just kind of went about their business and won.
They did not have a superstar. And these Royals, it is plain as day, have a superstar.
And I kind of think that they're building a franchise, assuming they do keep winning with the guys they're adding. I think they're building a team and a roster and a franchise that you do want to see more often. Like, superstar defensive wizard shortstop who also hits dingers. What team wouldn't want that as the face of their franchise? Lovable guy who plays a goofy position. Like, goofy catcher is number 1 in terms of like lovable players on a team along with fat pitcher.
Quirky left-handed starter can also be up there.
Yes, exactly.
With a lot of superstitions.
Hey, speaking of left-handed starters, Cole Reagan's really good, elite starting pitcher. That helps. Going out and getting a guy like Jack Caglione in the draft. Dude who mashes and might also pitch. Yeah, that's the kind of guy you want to tune in to see. When you're going from a guy the caliber of a Vinny Pasquantino being like, oh, he's the second best player on your team, to he's like the fifth or sixth best player on the team, and not because he's gotten worse, but because you've added more top-end exciting talent, suddenly your team becomes a whole lot more watchable. And I think more players, and your friend's example there is a great, obvious example of this. People got to see, oh, this dude is fun. Watching him swing is fun. And he's got the look. He's got the flow. He's got the big smile. He's grinning ear to ear the entire night. He's fast, but you don't get to see that kind of thing. But he does everything that is exciting about being a position player in baseball. He's got it. It felt to me like a star-making moment, like you said. The home run derby, I cooked this up earlier. It's like slightly more than half-baked. The home run derby is the professional sports Royal Rumble.
I love that take. Please expound.
So you don't get a guaranteed championship match. Like, I would love it if that meant Bobby Witt or, Teoscar Hernandez's team, like, oh, they're in the World Series. Well, I wouldn't love that.
Dodger fans would love that too, because they can't win in October otherwise.
Right. So you don't quite have that. But it's the kind of thing, it's every year. It is the same time, the same week, every year. Rumble's moving next year, but that's a different story. It's the same thing. It's the same event every year. They might change things a little bit. A few years ago, they did a Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia, and they added 40 people instead of 30. They called it the grandest or the greatest Royal Rumble. They've changed the format of the Derby, but in the end, what matters most? The Rumble, throw dudes over the top rope, both feet touch the floor. In the Derby, mash dingers. That's what you do. It's the same thing every year, and you don't have to win it to come out of it looking like a superstar. Bobby Witt Jr. was a bigger story, I think, last night than Teoscar Hernandez. The guy who was great and won the damn thing. Mm-hmm. Bobby Witt Jr. being, whoa, that dude is everything we thought he was. That was the big story. That is Roman Reigns losing to Batista in the 2014 Rumble. Roman Reigns, everybody knew he was going to be the big thing, and he looked great. He didn't end up winning that. Rhea Ripley is now the most popular women's wrestler in the world. It is insane how popular she is. She lost the 2021 Royal Rumble, and since then has been untouchable. Like, that is the comparison I'd make. And I know that's kind of niche, and I know plenty of people are not like, oh my God, please shut up about this dumb thing. But that's the comparison I would make. And it helps to win, but to just have the best performance, even in a losing effort, that can make you a superstar. Go ask Stone Cold Steve Austin that, right? From the mid-90s at that time. Bobby Witt Jr., I think, was in that same spot last night. And it's awesome. Like, it's awesome to see all sorts of people I know text, like, whoa, Witt's great. Or to see it on Twitter or your friends texting you, whatever it ends up being. And I'm sure many people have that story, to be able to say, yeah, we've gotten to watch this. We've known he's good. Now everyone knows he's got that kind of star power.
The only other guy who maybe raised his profile last night was Alec Boehm, who came out of the gate as the 8th favorite out of 8 to win the event, hit 21 home runs right off the rip. And then he didn't show up on TV for 2 hours and did not advance past the semifinal round.
There is nothing is less advantageous or a bigger disadvantage in the Derby than going first. Because you don't go for so long after that.
Yeah.
What did he say? Like, just as everyone expected or something? He told one of his teammates that after he advanced. And he's like, yep, just like everyone planned. Yeah. I made it through.
Something like that. Yeah.
He's got some attitude.
He does. I mean, playing in Philly, right? Like, yeah. you kind of adopt it. He's the one that survived the on-camera scene mouthing, I hate this bleeping place, after they were booing him after a bunch of errors.
And now they love him.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that helped. I think Philly fans like, no, you know what? We do too. Like, we also hate it. We kind of hate you, but we sort of like that you were honest about it.
It's such a fascinating relationship. Philly's players seem to have with each other. That's a very distinct locker room, very distinct clubhouse that those guys have.
Yeah, they've got like maybe 2 more years before everyone fights each other.
And it's a very distinct relationship that city, because it's a very distinct city, sports city, has with that team. But that's another topic for a different show. Bobby Witt Jr. did raise his profile last night, and we talk about 5-tool players in baseball. The 5 tools: the arm, the glove, hitting for average, hitting for power, and speed. And Bobby Witt Jr.'s top of the scale at all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He does the cool baseball things. He hits the ball hard. He runs faster than just about everybody. He throws from shortstop harder than just about everybody.
Mm-hmm.
He hits for a higher average than almost everybody in baseball this year. He's got a chance to lead the league in hits. I don't think he's going to run down Stephen Kwan for the batting title, but hey, he might. And he's got, we saw last night, that power, that ability to hit the ball over the fence. I know you had talked earlier last week talking about the home run derby curse, and it's one of your hills you're willing to die on, that the home run derby curse is real.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bobby Witt Jr.'s power numbers have been a little bit unlucky. His home runs per fly ball, not what you'd expect given how hard he does hit the ball. I think he could be in line for a second half power surge. And I think he could get up. I think he could get really hot hitting the ball over the wall in the second half. And we can credit the home run derby if we want to, but I think that we saw last night that he's capable of going on a power binge. I don't think we've seen it yet this season, but I think we're going to. I call it a hunch, but I think we're going to see a power surge in the second half from him.
I wouldn't be surprised by that. We had someone ask, I think it was Mark in the YouTube comments earlier today, ask who's going to finish with more home runs, Salvi or Bobby Witt Jr. Salvi is at 17 right now. Witt's at 16. I could see it being Witt. I absolutely could. I mean, he should only keep getting better, frankly.
Good comment from Paul in the YouTube live chat. Bobby was also probably underestimated because he's not your typical slugger. I myself question how he might do. Needless to say, he opened a ton of eyes and definitely proved he belonged there. Yeah, he's not like a Giancarlo Stanton. Right?
No, he's a great hitter who hits home runs.
Yes.
As opposed to a home run hitter.
There's a deal like Pete Alonso, home run hitter.
Yes.
Except last night. He didn't hit enough home runs.
No.
And he was eliminated. And I just want to bring that up again so it would make Trent laugh.
Jose Ramirez the same way. Like, yes. Jose Ramirez can mash, but he's a professional hitter. And that was fun. Actually, that battle, Witt and Ramirez in the second round was pretty fun last night.
It was.
There you go. All the narrative stuff. Like, Witt has the slow start, then gets really hot 2 different rounds, keeps advancing on. He beats somebody, the best player from the team that's ahead of them in the divisional race right now. That's a fun story. Who's also the veteran, the old guard, if you will, of the American League Central. His pitcher was not doing him any favors at all, and he was still able to get all the way to the final round. I mean, he had every single piece of narrative going for him. A really cool night for him.
Yeah. Fun
his
night.
Home state, too.
Yeah, really fun night. And really cool to see Bobby Witt Jr. get that national spotlight. And if people didn't know who he was before, they certainly do now. We're going to take a break here on 580 Sports Talk, live in the Kansas Drive to Zero studios. When we come back, another round of What Is Wrong With You on 580 WIBW. So what is wrong with you time on 580 Sports Talk? Two news stories today competing. Our Monday champion, I think I have to do the voice. Arby's. We have the thieves.
Nice.
Two women, a 21-year-old and a 63-year-old, facing felony charges for allegedly stealing more than $3,000 worth of food from a Pennsylvania Arby's, including $2,800 worth of roast beef. They were slicing it, they were hiding it, they were putting it in the trash, and then they were taking the trash at the end of the night. They stole $2,800 worth of Arby's roast beef and 143 drinks, 16 food items, and 49 other things.
What is that? What does that include?
Yeah, we were speculating. Like, you feel like it was like just containers of horsey sauce, like little packets of ketchup and horsey sauce, that would have been under food items. Like, other things makes me think, I don't know, did they steal a fryer?
Maybe.
Did they take some like Arby's like sandwich wrappers? Some of
Forks,
that foil
fries,
wrap?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Or not fries, but like the containers that hold the fries, maybe.
Anyway, yeah, they had the meats
clearly
until they were arrested and charged with multiple felony counts. Anyhow, two news stories today. Brendan, I'm gonna let you go first.
All right, for my story, we are headed down to Longwood, Florida.
Longwood.
A main road through the Shadow Bay community was flooded after storms pushed through the area last Monday. Standing water covered North Shadow Bay Boulevard, which is the same road neighbors have been concerned about since a homeowner hired a crew in April to film the stormwater pipe on her property with concrete. The action came after neighbors received a letter in March from the homeowner who asked not to be named. In the letter, the homeowner accused their HOA of installing a drain pipe on her property without her permission. She asked for compensation. She wrote in part, "I advise you of this because once I close that pipe off, you will have a drain problem that will back up on the road and your property and potentially on my property."
You will have a drain problem.
Carlos Barcia lives in the neighborhood.
Carlos Barcia is really funny.
And said the flooding is something he's been worried about for months. Quote, "We've got a huge problem. I've never seen this in any community I've lived in. Ever since she did that, we've had issues worse than anything I've seen." Robin Rodriguez, a board member at the HOA, told Channel 6 News last month that a developer separated the houses on one side of the street from the HOA in the 1980s. The developer then created an easement to run a drainage pipe between these two homes that flows into a retention pond. Rodriguez said the HOA is not responsible for that. In addition, as treasurer, I can tell you that there is nothing in our records from that time or any other time that says we ever pay a crazy amount of money to put in a 110-foot pipe into the ground, and there would be financial records of that. Seminole County is currently investigating all options with the HOA to bring the project to code.
The video, there's a duck swimming in the street.
Yeah, he's just chilling. So this woman or this homeowner was upset about this drainage pipe, said, "I am going to fill it with concrete. You are going to have a problem." And she was right.
Very threatening. This is amazing. This is like that episode of The Simpsons where Homer does outsider art and floods the entire city of Springfield.
When I was growing up for a while, we had our sump pump wasn't super effective and it was very slow. Also, the drains, the sewer drains on the street in front of our house would drain really slowly if it rained a lot in a short amount of time. And it backed all the way up from the street, up our entire front yard, up our front steps to the front door a couple of times. So I know how much this sucks when it happens. Crazy move to say, I'm going to do this and you are going to have a problem.
For those watching on YouTube, here's a picture. Like, the streets are just straight up flooded, man.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That is wild, right? Absolutely wild.
Yeah, these poor people. And that water's all brown and dirty. It's got that Galveston water.
Yeah, that's gross, man. Like they can't say they weren't warned, right?
That's true.
Like, hey, that woman told them exactly what she was going to do.
You are going to have a problem.
All right, for my story today, we're going across the pond to jolly old England for one of my favorite genres of stories, insurance fraud.
Classic.
We have 49-year-old Sarah Morris from Stone, Staffordshire, exaggerating the extent of her severe multiple sclerosis condition and claimed too much personal independence payment from the Department of Work and Pensions in 2020. She was later spotted running 5-kilometer, 10-kilometer, and marathons competitively. Between October 20th of 2020 to April 25th, 2023, she was overpaid by over £20,000 and competed in 73 competitive running events.
Wow.
No one has ever looked happier committing insurance fraud than this woman. Again, we have a picture in the YouTube stream. Look how happy she is. She's having the time of her life.
Yeah, she's amped.
She is having a blast. She is committing insurance fraud. Prosecutor Reagan Walters told the court the benefit was paid on the basis she would notify the DWP of any changes which affected the amount of benefits. The defendant signed and dated the PIP claim form on November 20th, 2020, and signed the declaration. She had a face-to-face consultation January of 21. The payment was calculated and authorized from that stage. The DWP, again, that's the Department of Work and Pensions, soon found out Morris had been competing in her running events. She'd also been doing some orienteering. The first photo was taken a month after she signed her initial claim form. The defendant can be seen to have been taking part on a competitive run 2 days prior to making that initial claim. The defendant reported receiving assistance in almost every aspect of her life. She claimed to experience difficulties with her balance. She said she required grab rails in the bathroom and assistance with getting dressed. And on some days, her stress and anxiety had led to her being housebound. Her lawyer claimed that Morris was diagnosed with MS 19 years ago, and the severity of its impact ebbs and flows to a degree. Quite an ebb if you're running 73 competitive races.
Or is this a flow?
I don't know. I guess you could define it either way. Apparently, her marriage had broken down in 2020. She needed the money. She had lost her home, was struggling to keep her head above water financially. But recorder Robert Smith said Morris lied through her teeth and threw her in prison for 8 months.
Good. I love these stories when people get caught in the act committing fraud. It's very funny.
I still crack up thinking about the woman who was in like the tree throwing contest.
That's still on this computer. I have it in front of me right now.
She is like an Arrested Development bit.
He's literally throwing a Christmas tree.
Throwing a Christmas tree. She said, my back. I need a bacchiotomy. I need this ability. And then she's on the internet winning a Christmas tree throwing contest.
Unbelievable.
I love insurance fraud stories so much.
They are very good.
So 2 strong ones today. Trenton, which story do you like best today?
I'll go with the drain pipe clogging.
I was gonna lean that way as well. It's just so arrogant, and I kind of respect it. Like, this ain't gonna be my problem. This is gonna be a you problem, and I'm gonna flood everything. And they did. They stuck to it, and it wasn't a problem.
Does what it says on the tin.
That said, I'm still gonna go with the Arby's.
Yes, we're in agreement. The drain pipe story wins today, but we are sticking with Arby's. We have the thieves as our ongoing weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You. We're taking a break here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, realignment roundup. We'll get an open made for this one of these days, I swear, here on 580 Sports Talk. 446 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan, Brendan, Trenton, Spencer Dupuis joins us. So the gang's all here for the final hour and 15 minutes of the program. And you're just in time, Spencer, because we're going to, first of all, let me back up. Typically in this time frame, we would be speaking with Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network for Jayhawk Weekly. Michael is in transit today, so he is out of reach for us. We are hoping to reschedule Michael and talk Jayhawks with him later on this week. So that is why you are not hearing the mellifluous tones of our good pal Michael on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. Instead, we're going to talk about the latest round of conference realignment rumors. And Spencer, I was joking earlier, since you were the one that initially threw this in the rundown and referred to it as the realignment roundup.
No, he's not.
That was not me.
That was not you?
Nope, that was me.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wow, you're going to accuse somebody you don't even get it
It's not an
right.
accusation. It was credit. I just gave it out to the wrong person. You guys have to use different fonts now, officially. We all have to use different fonts. I call Comic Sans.
Okay, yeah, fine. Deal.
I'll be easy to recognize.
I'm using Arial.
That's a default font. You have to use the default font. Anyway, somebody put realignment roundup in the rundown today, and we were thinking that, Spencer, you need to do a realignment roundup open.
I mean, that's not a bad idea because it seems like every 4 or 5 months something new pops up.
Can you give us the voice? We'll make the sound effect.
It's time for realignment roundup on 580 Sports Talk.
Yes, perfect. Yes.
Cut it. Use it.
Yeah, we'll just use that. We'll put music under it. We'll ride with it. So I'll start with Brett McMurphy of the Action Network, who tweeted earlier today and has a piece at the Action Network about this. I'll read his tweet. Big Ten SEC unlikely to add Florida State if it leaves ACC and ACC survives, sources told Action Network. Big Ten and SEC don't want FSU because adding FSU doesn't make financial sense, no desire to expand, and, quote, they've been a disruptive partner, sources said. We have arrived at the negging portion of realignment rumors. Nah, we don't want them anyway. They're a disruptive partner. They're not good for our league. They may be good for somebody else, but they're not good for our league. Some other quotes from McMurphy's piece here.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of his sources. What's the upside of Florida State? This is a Big Ten source. What's the upside of Florida State? We got what we needed by adding USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington. And Oregon and Washington were added at 50 cents on the dollar to help USC and UCLA. Who would Florida State help? And at what cost? And most importantly, who's going to pay for it?
All good questions.
Another Big Ten source. There are too many negatives. They've proven to be a disruptive partner. Even if you got them in a similar discounted rate as the Oregon and Washington deal, do you trust them as a partner?
Is this because they filed that court case?
Yes, that's the direct reference to the fact that they have open litigation against the league that they are currently in.
Now, the important caveat here that McMurphy adds is if the ACC stays around. The other part of this, though, would be if there's suddenly an open market and 14 or 15, whatever it is, teams that are available to go add to your conference, otherwise they're just floating out there, then okay, maybe you reconsider, I suppose, because you'd still probably rather have like Big Ten member Florida State than Big Ten member Boston College. And maybe they wouldn't do anything then anyways, but I think that makes some sense. And people on Twitter were confused about that from McMurphy. I don't know, man. The ACC seems fine. It's just stay.
Yeah, the SEC is not a bad league. It's not as good a TV deal. Here, the thing, and I talked about this yesterday.
Were they the ones that recently signed a TV deal?
Within the last 3 years, I think.
Yeah, with the addition of the ACC network.
Yeah,
but their grant of rights runs well through the 2030s. 36.
Yeah.
And that's the issue, is that now you've gotten the Big Ten and the SEC redoing their TV deals. So then they've got all this monstrous revenue coming in. And as I talked about on yesterday's show, Florida State and Clemson are the two schools in the ACC that can say with a straight face, we're competing for a national championship in football every year. That's our goal. That's our aspiration. And we have the proof of concept because we have national championships in the playoff era. Like, Miami can't say that. Miami, the used glory days are long, long gone. Florida State and Clemson are the football programs in the ACC. And if they want to compete on the same level to win national championships as the SEC schools that they've competed against, as the Big Ten schools they competed against, and they're falling behind revenue-wise, that's a problem for them. So I understand why Florida State and Clemson are getting a little antsy, or maybe starting to consider their options. Florida State is being really wild with it and taking it to court. They're the billable hours national champions for 2024.
Mm-hmm.
And I also understand, like I said yesterday, the appeal from the Big Ten's perspective of being interested in adding who would be their two biggest football brands right away. But to blow up an entire league instead of maybe working to renegotiate or trying to make things better in the situation that you've currently got, it does. Like, it doesn't make it. Florida State doesn't look good in all of this. So, like, I joke about it being negging a little bit, but it's also a little true that, like, they have not covered themselves in glory here.
No, I don't think either of these programs would, like, include as much value as they think they do. Like, you mentioned Clemson's got national championships in the playoff era. That is absolutely correct. You know what they were before Dabo showed up and got things really humming after Tommy Bowden left? They were Bo Pelini's Nebraska. 7 or 9 wins every year, somewhere in there. Go to a good bowl game that's played somewhere between, December 27th and New Year's Day. And that's kind of it.
But maybe this is the new normal for Clemson now. Just like what Oregon is the new normal for Oregon, and not like what they were in the 80s and 90s.
I see that, and I raise you a head coach who willingly says he's more worried about, like, his program's image in the church than he is about using the transfer portal to build his roster.
Are they more than Dabo Swinney? Can they succeed with a different coach? Could they succeed in a higher level with a coach who would actually use the transfer portal?
I don't know that they could, to be honest. Like
here's there's no like really stringent academics keeping them from raiding the portal in a way that other major programs do. It's just Dabo Swinney objects to it on principle, and that's why they don't hit the portal.
But here's the thing: it's kind of a double-edged sword, because Dabo is refusing to use the portal. He's going to recruit very specifically. He's going to do things his way, even if it's to the detriment of his program. I think once he's gone, that's not the same program. And I mean, Dabo Swinney's only early 50s.
But I'm saying it could be a better one. You get a coach in there that wants to use the portal, and you can sell. We have championships. We have done it in the playoff era. We have won championships.
I don't think
Dabo's I don't think he's Saban. Okay, I don't think he's this singular football genius.
Will they write a check? I will tell you this much: I do not think they will. I don't think This is like if K-State was smaller in a poorer town. That's what Clemson is. The joke is they're Auburn with a lake. They're also Auburn with less money. As much as I hate the guy because he really rubs me the wrong way, that program is Dabo Swinney. And to only hammer that home, they have one previous national championship, 1981, I believe.
Danny Ford.
You know what's notable about that? They cheated every game the next 3 years. They were ineligible for the postseason. They were cheating like crazy. That's the only other time in their history they've been nationally relevant.
Quick counterpoint. They would have trouble writing a check unless maybe they got into a league that provided them more revenue, enough revenue to write a big check to a high-level football coach.
Maybe.
So, I mean, again, I get it. I get all of this from Florida State and Clemson's perspective because they are different. They are set apart from the other ACC programs. They have won national titles in the playoff era, and that does make them different. We're going to take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. Coming back with the final hour of the show, some sports headlines, a look ahead to the All-Star game tonight as well. The gang's all here for the final hour in the Kansas Drive to Zero studio on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Final hour, 580 Sports Talk on this Tuesday edition. All-Star game is tonight. We got the All-Star crew here. The gang's all here for this 5 o'clock hour. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski, Spencer Dupuis in the studio, and our summer intern, Trenton Kraxner, our producer-engineer, across the glass. Thanks for being with us on this Tuesday on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online worldwide at 580WIBW.com. And watching on our video stream, we are live on YouTube. Check out 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Subscribe, watch the video. Check us out on YouTube and be a part of the... Yeah, or else, exactly. And participate in the live chat. We love to see you in the live chat as well. You can also watch us on Facebook, WIBW News, and have us up while you scroll baby pictures from your freshman year college roommate or whatever it is that you go to Facebook to look for these days.
Man, I don't even know what I do on Facebook anymore. It's they don't even show you things that you have actually liked or subscribed to or your own friends. Like I get I get posts every day like, oh, grandma's molasses recipes. I don't like this. I'm gonna off my page.
I was on the phone with my mom the other day. She was like, oh, did you see your cousins are moving? And I was like, what are you talking about? She goes, you posted on Facebook. And I was like, I've been on Facebook like 5 times today and I have not seen it.
It's such a bad website.
And I'm like, this is just messed up because I like all this stuff.
Yeah, it stinks.
Well,
Watch us there though if you use it.
Yeah, seriously. I'm scrolling my Facebook front page to see what the algorithm is giving me. Here's a post from Mom Friends Network that's just a bunch of pictures of Marge Simpson. Here's a weather forecast for greater Kansas, western and southern Kansas. This day in baseball, that works. Here's an ad for Pacifico beer. I'm more of a Modelo guy myself. England's best egg, or Egglands, not England's best eggs, Eggland's best eggs. A Norseman Brewing Company, that's a local business. MLB The Show, Major Arena Soccer League, more weather.
I get pictures of your kid.
Yeah.
I've gotten that too.
Yeah. Abby, my wife, has posted lots of good pictures of Asher.
That is back to back with a post of a baby wrapped in a Subway wrapper with a bag of Lay's baked chips next to it.
Man, I wonder if I could have sold Abby on doing a photo shoot like that.
This baby also has a hat on with some felt that looks like tomatoes and lettuce. And the post says, you think you're all that in a bag of chips? And the kid is
terrible.
Yeah, that's really bad.
I don't approve of that.
I'll tell you what. So every day, before pre the last couple weeks, at 2:06, I would pull up my Facebook, right? 2:06 or 2:07 to share our show, to say like,
Sure,
come and view our show today.
Oh yeah, I do the same.
It has stopped coming up for me.
Sometimes I have to go straight to the WIBW News Facebook page.
For 3 or 4 straight months, it did it every day, and now it stopped.
Here's a picture of John Goodman wearing a Black Flag T-shirt. Like I mean, cool, but I didn't ask for this. Terrible website. Very bad. But if you use it, watch our video.
It's not as functional as it used to be when it was just a way to, it was just a way to connect with other people who went to college, the same college that you did, and maybe other colleges. That was how that website started. Now everybody has it. Frankly, it was better before.
I think I got a Facebook account when I was in 8th grade.
See, I was
a late adopter.
Downfall society.
Middle school.
We started letting non-college students use Facebook. Now everybody's got one.
Yeah,
not everybody. My parents, my brother and I told our parents, "Nah, you guys don't need Facebook pages." And to this day, my mom does not have one.
My mom and dad don't have any social media either. My dad one time said something about how he was put on some network. It was like Facebook, but just in his company and like a professional thing. I later found out it was LinkedIn. It's never been updated for what that's worth, but yeah. You know what I'm talking about? An insane place. LinkedIn.
Hey, my dad has 2 Facebook accounts because he forgot his password to his other.
My grandmother has 7.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
And if I send him something, I always have to figure out which one is the actual one.
Yeah.
You gotta send it to both. Just make sure it gets
all
there.
Mass text at that point.
Should we get headlines?
Yeah, we should get the headlines. We're gonna talk about the NFL's top 50 players according to PFF a little bit later on this hour, and we'll preview tonight's Major League Baseball All-Star Game. But first, let's start the 5 o'clock hour, as we start every 5 o'clock hour. Not with 5 minutes of nonsense, typically, sometimes. But typically we start with the 5A Sports Talk headlines. We're going to the final day of the Major League Baseball entry draft. The draft wrapped up today, and it was a very successful one for KU and K-State. The most KU players drafted since 2014, and the most K-Staters drafted since 2011. We'll get to those guys in just a little bit. Rounds 11 through 20 were held today. The Royals made 10 selections today, selecting right-hander Zachary Collier from TCU as their 11th round pick. Another right-hander from the Big 12, Tommy Molsky from Oklahoma State, with their 12th round pick. Their 13th rounder, an Air Force Falcon, third baseman Sam Kulasingham. I don't know how you pronounce his last name.
Nailed it.
Kulasingham, yeah. Kyle DeGroat, my high school kid out of New York, right-handed pitcher, was their 14th round pick. Left-handed pitcher Tyler Davis from Mississippi State in the 15th round. Right-handed pitcher Andrew Morones from Cal State Fullerton in the 16th. Canadian lefty Dane Burns, who is listed as being from No School, Texas.
Man, I love Canadian lefties' second studio albums when they really hit their stride.
Canadian lefty. Corey Cousin from Slidell High School in Louisiana, an outfielder, was the 18th round pick of the Royals. In the 19th round, Dash Albus, a left-handed pitcher from Abilene Christian. And in the final round, the 20th round, Oklahoma outfielder Carter Frederick. Those are your new Kansas City Royals. What about kids from the state of Kansas today? Quite a few of them. We'll start with 11th round pick Eli Lovich out of Blue Valley West High School, one of two high school kids from the state to be selected in this year's draft. Eli Lovich, the 332nd overall pick in the 11th round to the Chicago Cubs, drafted as an outfielder. In the 12th round, we started to see the local collegiates get taken. Right-handed pitcher Ethan Lanthier from Kansas, 353rd overall to the Mets. The Yankees then took a K-State Wildcat, Brendan Jones, the outfielder, with the 361st pick. In the 13th round, Ellis, Kansas's own, KU's Tegan Kane, right-handed pitcher, the 402nd overall pick, 13th round.
If I remember correctly, once lost to Trenton Kraxner in a state tournament game.
That is correct.
Worth noting, somehow Trenton Kraxner's name did not come off the board.
I can't believe that.
If the draft had been 21 rounds, Trenton, I really feel like you would have heard your name called.
I turned down the Royals. They were going to take me over Caglione, but I turned them down for a broadcasting career.
That was
a much more lucrative venture. Clearly. 14th round selection, Kansas catcher Ben Hartle goes 435th overall to the Texas Rangers. In the 16th round, Blue Valley Southwest High School pitcher Anson Siebert, who was ranked the 108th best prospect in the entire draft by MLB Pipeline, was selected by the Detroit Tigers, 476th overall.
So that tells me he must be planning to go to college.
Going to be a really tough sign. He's committed to Tennessee. A lot of times when you hear high school kids taken on day two, either they're going to get a big signing bonus and the teams have saved their bonus pool to give money. And I don't know what the bonus pool situation is for Detroit. Probably fairly big because they weren't very good last year. The higher you pick in the draft, the more bonus pool money you have. I don't know how much they've got socked away for Siebert, or if it was just a, hey, shot in the dark. Maybe he doesn't want to go to college all that bad.
Yeah.
Let's give it a try. Also, in the 16th round, KU left-hander Evan Shaw, selected by the Dodgers with the 490th overall pick. And finally, in round 17, the 519th overall pick, left-handed pitcher Isaiah Salinas from Cowley County Community College, the final Kansas collegiate player to be selected in today's draft. What's really funny, there's the familiar name on this list of draft-eligible players. The draft tracker at MLB lists everybody from, if you sort by state, it's every college player or high school player from the state that is draft eligible. Devin Neal's on this list.
That's awesome. That rules.
Yeah.
Someone draft my guy.
Devin Neal on the list. It used to be, like, when the draft was 50 rounds, those were the days. You would get, like, some out there draft picks. Did you know the Rockies drafted Michael Vick?
I did not. I did not know that. Yeah, there's all sorts of good ones. There's all sorts of great draft stories. The best draft story of all time is definitely Mike Piazza. That's the second time he's come up on the program today.
62nd round pick as a favor to his great uncle, Tommy Lasorda.
Yeah. It was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And he turned into the best hitting catcher of all time.
Best power hitting catcher of all time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Pretty amazing story. Yeah. You don't get that anymore because the minor leagues are smaller and the draft is smaller. Again, Rob Manfred's legacy as commissioner of Major League Baseball, there is less baseball after him than there was when he arrived. What a legacy to have. What a pud. Anyway, let's keep it moving with our 580 Sports Talk headlines.
Yeah, we've got a lot to get to today, so let's keep it rolling here. Brandon Ayuk of the 49ers, he has officially demanded a trade as of today. Not really a surprise. It got to this point. In the words of NFL Network insider Mike Garafolo today, the 49ers All-Pro receiver has officially requested a trade after an offseason of unsuccessful attempts to reach an extension. Despite a recent meeting, the Niners have not been willing to engage in negotiations since May, so Ayuk has respectively asked out. Brandon Ayuk is under contract for a little more than $14 million this year. It is his 5th-year option year. The 49ers survived a trade request from Deebo Samuel. We'll see if they can find their way through this one with Ayuk. The 49ers, they, according to Adam Schefter of ESPN, have absolutely no desire to even field calls about Brandon Ayuk right now. Whether that's the truth or whether that's just a bluff, hard to say. Schefter says other teams have reached out and spoken to San Francisco. They've been told the Niners have no intention of trading the disgruntled receiver Ayuk, who officially had requested a trade. Training camp opens up next week. A couple quick things here. One, depending on how you say it, Ayuk kind of sounds like you're Goofy from the Disney cartoons. Ayuk. Additionally, I've seen a lot of, he's getting himself into trouble and they're just going to franchise tag him anyway. So it might be 2 more years till he hits free agency. Here's the problem with the 49ers doing that. They have to pay so many players in the next couple of years. If you want to do that, fine. The other thing you run into, though, and I think more players are going to do this, and it's going to piss off fans. I'm going to tell you this right now. It's going to make fans really frustrated. Remember 2 playoffs ago, I believe it was, when Lamar Jackson didn't play in the postseason for Baltimore?
Yeah.
Tyler Huntley started the playoff game. Lamar Jackson, by all accounts, probably could have played in that game. You know what he was also waiting to do, Lamar Jackson? Get a new contract.
Yeah.
Get what at the time was briefly the highest paid quarterback contract in the NFL. If Brandon Ayuk sticks around for this year, if they won't trade him, says, you know what? My foot kind of hurts, coach. Can't play. Sorry. That's the leverage players have, because the franchise tag is 100% a leverage play by the teams, because we're giving you a contract. You cannot go negotiate anywhere else. It's not like the NBA where you get offer sheets. Like, no, you have one option. It's to play with us or not play. That's your one choice. I think players are going to start to say, yeah, I'm kind of banged up, coach. Can't go. Sorry.
I guess
can't go. That's the closest you can get to a holdout these days.
And I guess the question for Ayuk is, what's more important? Is it that next contract, or is it winning a Super Bowl? Because the 49ers, I think, are the clear NFC favorites this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that status takes a hit. How significant is debatable, because we're talking about a wide receiver on a team full of great offensive weapons, a great wide receiver, but a wide receiver all the same. This is not a franchise quarterback we're talking about. There's a hit that the 49ers status as the lead dogs in the NFC takes if Ayuk doesn't play. And so
he's their best receiver.
That's what Ayuk has to weigh here, because the 49ers have no incentive to trade him. He's their guy. He's under contract. They're going to want him in camp. They're going to want him to play 17 games, get his 180 targets, and be one of the best players on that team as they go and try and capture what has eluded them now since 1994, a Super Bowl championship. What has painfully eluded them twice in the last 6 years.
This is also creating more rifts within the team, which is not great. Juwan Jennings, who I really like, he's wide receiver probably 3 for that Niners team, posted on his Instagram story earlier today, you got to be a different type of person to act like you doing everything by yourself, knowing dang well you not.
Wisdom. Real wisdom.
He's right.
And also, Juwan Jennings is really good. And
he's really good.
Like, if there's any team that could say, let me rephrase. Brandon Ayuk's great. He's their best wide receiver.
Yes.
a wide receiver room of Deebo Samuel, Juwan Jennings, and Ricky Pearsall, still pretty good.
Still top 10, assuming Pearsall is who we think he can be. He's the first round pick.
Yeah,
I mean, that should still be a top 10 room.
And you add Jason Kittle to that mix as one of your top pass
George
catchers.
Kittle.
Jason, I think
I'm
Jason
not sure who
Kittle?
Jason Kittle is, but I'm sure he's a great guy.
I've heard of Ron Kittle, former White Sox slugger.
Yeah, that's right.
We're inventing new people.
But that's that is the latest on the Brandon Ayuk saga. We are nowhere close to that being over, by the way.
Spencer, first headline.
Yeah, morning sports television is changing. Skip Bayless undisputedly out at Fox FS1. He's leaving his role as co-host of Undisputed, the network, after 8 years. His final show will be later this summer. He didn't really comment on it. Said, "How about go to Fox Sports PR?" There's some sweeping changes coming at the network because of everything else happening. First Things First and Speak are expected to expand by half hour each to fill time vacated by Race Hub.
Sorry,
the NASCAR program that they ended after 13 years in June. And ESPN has come back and said that First Take's kind of full right now, so they're not interested in having him back.
Sports television.
That's a lie. I guarantee you that's a lie.
Sports media and sports television are worse because of Skip Bayless, and
that's true.
He has made them, again. We'll stay with the pun. Undisputedly worse for his presence on television in the media. What his brand of sports media and sports television was, and let's be clear, he was an odious personality before he ever got to television.
Go ask Troy Aikman.
Yes, he spread some awful rumors about Troy Aikman when he was a columnist at the Dallas Morning News.
To the point that when Fox hired him 8 years ago, Troy Aikman said, "Don't do it, or I'm quitting, because I'm not gonna work for the same company as Skip Bayless." They, of course, gave Troy Aikman several million more dollars. And he was like, "Okay, fine, I'll work with it."
Right. Everybody has a price. But no, he will not be missed. I have never turned on the TV on purpose to watch Skip Bayless say anything. He's offered, I don't believe, anything of value to the greater sports discourse. And he won't be missed. And that's all I have to say about Skip Bayless.
The only thing I will miss about that show, I don't even know if it still airs, but when it debuted, Lil Wayne dropped the track that was the intro. That was a decent track. Have you guys heard it?
I've heard it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I've heard it. He's going to be on ESPN. He's going to be on First Take. He's going to be right there at the desk next to Stephen A. Smith and Molly Karam.
Yeah.
He will be there.
It was
week one of the NFL season. He will be there.
It was a winning formula once upon a time. Yeah, I wonder what his non-compete is.
Yeah, but do they have the money with all the money they're paying McAfee and the money that's
they'll find it
that he wants?
Yeah, they'll find it.
Galaxy Brain. He replaces Stephen A. Smith, who goes to like Fox News or something.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, because Stephen A. Smith wants a new contract.
Yeah,
that was a big thing.
He's almost out of contract, and very clearly he has interest in doing more than just sports.
That's fine. He can go run for president. That's fine.
Stephen A. in 28.
Skip Bayless is insane, by the way. Like, even beyond the like horrible sports takes and the yelling on TV, a legitimately insane person.
Yes, he's so dedicated to the take life that he eats like the same meal twice a day.
He straight up told his wife when they got together, like, "My career will always come before you." He straight up said, like, "When I retire, I'm going to die." Like, he's nuts.
Yeah.
Really?
More evidence that he's not retiring.
Brothers with famous chef Rick Bayless.
Yes.
I watched him.
By all accounts, a good person.
Those two, though, hate each other. They haven't spoken.
Weird.
Per Skip, they haven't spoken in like 30 years.
Weird how that works.
Yeah.
A credit to his craft and a discredit to his craft. And I wonder why they don't get along. Next headline.
God, I'm hungry.
We all saw it last night at the Home Run Derby. 4-time Grammy-nominated country artist Ingrid Andress performing the national anthem. You've heard clips of it at the top of the hour on CBS News.
Made national news.
It did.
Yeah.
It made the national news. One of the worst national anthems of all time. And now we have a reason behind it. As Andress earlier today took to her social media accounts and posted, quote, "I'm not going to BS y'all. I was drunk last night. I'm checking myself into a facility today to get the help I need. That was not me last night. I apologize to MLB, all the fans, and this country I love so much for that rendition. I'll let y'all know how rehab is. I hear it's super fun. XO Ingrid."
That last ending to that really turned me off of that post.
Yeah. Very flippant way to check into rehab. First of all, makes it feel like you're not really taking it as seriously as it would appear you need to. A texter from the 913 on the Top Female Supply text line suggests it's a cop-out. I'm not here to judge I hope that if this is a serious problem for this woman, that she gets the help she needs. But at the same time, I don't think drunkenness alone excuses that performance last night, because
No, you see people perform concerts drunk.
Yes.
Like country artists are renowned for being out there with their cup in their hand.
Yes, that's true.
Yes,
that is very
and
true.
they still put out a good product for what you've paid for.
Yeah, that was more than just, I had a few too many margaritas. I had a couple too many ranch waters before I hit the stage and performed last night. It was genuinely atrocious. It was, for an ostensibly professional singer, the only one that compares is Fergie at the NBA All-Star game.
I was rewatching it earlier because it came up on my timeline, and when she gets to that last line,
oh my god,
she pauses. She's paused, and they show her face zoomed in, and she is like, "What in the bleeping world did I just do?"
That ruined her career. When's the last time you saw Fergie?
It's been a long time since I've seen Fergie. Can we get some audio? Talk PC1, Trent. We're gonna play the end of her rendition here, because it really needs to be heard to be believed. This is the tail end of her rendition.
Say does that star spangled banner yet wave
Shout out to the hockey fans yelling "Stars" because they're in Dallas. See.
for the land of the free?
What is
and
that?
the home of the brave.
And then she bails out.
Look, I think I could do a better rendition than that, and I am tone deaf.
The comparison immediately to Roseanne and her infamously terrible rendition. Also, Carl Lewis and his all-time great, I'll make up for it now, version of the national anthem. That Charlie Steiner in tears on SportsCenter that one time. But those were not professional singers. This woman's been nominated for 4 Grammys.
Yeah.
She's not a bad singer. Like, she has a few songs on country radio.
Yeah, no, we were talking about that earlier. Big 94.5 has played in several of her singles.
I don't think they're going to be playing that version of the national anthem. I don't think that's going to be the new staple. You know, you go to like a high school sporting event, they don't have a singer that night. They'll play the Whitney Houston version.
Yeah.
Or they'll play a big brass band version of it. I don't think we're going to hear Ingrid Andress's version ever again.
Locally, I think most of our schools just have their own band recorded, which I like. I like having the instrumental. I once did the national anthem before a softball tournament. It was not very good, but it was better than that. I know that for certain. Do we have time for one more headline here?
Yes, let's do one more headline.
All right, last one for you. We've got the final rosters for both Mass Street and Purple Rain, the KU and K-State alumni teams for the basketball tournament. Let's start with Purple Rain. That is the K-State alumni team. They will play their opening round game against Team Colorado. Those are the Colorado alumni. On
Very clever
Saturday.
name.
That game will tip off at 2:00 at the Roundhouse in Wichita. Here is your K-State alumni lineup. Xavier Sneed, Jacob Pullen, Delano Spencer, Stephen Hurt, Abayomi Ayola. That's Bebe Igiola. That's Bebe Igiola. I hadn't seen his first name in a long time. Yor Ane, who is from Overland Park but never played for K-State. Cartier Jara, Justin Edwards, Kamau Stokes, Dejuan Gordon, Devon Balkman. Did he play for K-State? Or is he one of the not K-State guys who's on the team? DJ Johnson, Khalid Thomas, and Tariq Owens. Is that the same one who played at Texas Tech?
I think so.
I think it is. Yeah, he played it at Tech. He must just be friends with some of the other guys. Your KU alumni team, Mass Street. This is a hilarious group. LeGerald Vick, Thomas Robinson, Diedrich Lawson, his brother Chandler Lawson. Not fellow former Jayhawk KJ, though. He's not on the roster.
What's he doing that he can't make it?
A great question. Missing floaters. That's what he's doing. Jamari Traylor, Silvio DeSosa, Kevin Young, Biffum, Frank Mason III, Sam Cunliffe, Billy Preston, Brandon Rush, Ben McLemore, and then Travis Washington, who did not play at KU. Billy Preston.
Billy Preston is so funny. Billy Preston want to wear that KU uniform so bad.
This is 6 years,
This is
7 years in the making.
This is like KU fantasy camp for Billy Preston.
That video of him jamming on some poor Pitt State player from the exhibition game in 2017.
Oh, he did play in the exhibition. It wasn't just the showdown for relief. He did get in the Pitt State game.
He got in the Pitt State game, then didn't play the second one because he had a car issue and cannot play.
He had been in a car accident.
That's a hilarious KU roster, by the way.
No, that's really funny.
Morla, Gerald Vick, good for the people. But those are your two teams. KU plays its first TBT game. The final game of the day, 7 o'clock in Wichita on Saturday.
I know Jacob Pullen had been committed, I think, to play last year for K-State. They had pull out.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Nice.
I hope he does get to play this time. I think that would be really fun to see him.
It'd mean a lot
playing.
to K-State fans, I think, to see him wearing purple.
Still one of the most beloved, and I think always will be one of the most beloved Wildcats of all time. Get him in the
And
rafters.
one of the best.
Get him in the rafters already, man. They got the bobblehead of him in the concourse at Bramlage. It's time for him to be in the rafters.
Tang needs to schedule UMass because Poland wants Frank Martin to be there.
Yes.
When he does it. That's always been his thing. Like, no, I want my guys there. And Frank's been coaching. Bruce was never going to schedule a Frank Martin team. That was out of the question.
No.
Jerome Tang's got no connection to that era. In fact, should be continuing to try to distance himself from past eras. Like, that's been a strength, I think, of the current administration.
I would agree with that.
Schedule UMass, get Frank in the building, and let's go.
Hey, before we hit the break, did you see what Paul mentioned on the YouTube comments?
A national anthem karaoke contest. No, we're not going to be doing that.
I mean, we could.
We could, but we're not going to be doing that. I'm just going to tell you right now. When I say it's a hard song to sing,
it's a very hard
song
to sing.
It's a hard song to sing. We're taking a break. We'll come back. We're going to talk about the top 50 players in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus. A couple of Chiefs already ranked. Who else is going to make the list? We'll talk about it next on 580 Sports Talk. 536 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan, Brendan, Spencer, Trenton. Pro Football Focus rolling out their 50 best players in the NFL list. We've talked a lot about Pro Football Focus's rankings this offseason. Thank goodness we're almost out of ranking season and into actual training camp.
Do you know what those things are called? Like the actual journalistic term for like top 10 reasons why the Chiefs won't repeat.
You know, I'm sure I've heard it, but
it's a gross word. Listicle.
Yeah, I have heard that word.
I remember seeing that on the agenda for a class when I was in the J school at KU and seeing what in God's name are we talking about today?
Yeah, it's not an awesome word.
No.
To be honest with you.
Most people just consider them to be BuzzFeed lists.
I will say the NFL Network one, the top 100 players of each year.
Yeah.
That is cool because they go out and get like interviews from all their fellow players.
I don't
think the players take it seriously.
Yeah,
I don't think enough players take it seriously for it to be like a really good list.
I think that the interviews themselves are better content than the list itself.
I don't always agree with the list, but I will watch it just to see what other players.
Yeah, the interviews are cool. I agree with you on that.
Now they've moved it so it's behind the NFL Plus paywall.
Is it really?
And
I
the
didn't know
top
that.
10 are on NFL Network. I don't know if they replay them on NFL Network, but I just looked it up when I saw this earlier on the rundown. I was like, is the NFL top 100 coming out?
I did not know that.
The PFF Top 50 has revealed 50 through 31 so far. 2 Chiefs have made the list. Joe Thuney at number 39. Now, if you heard Andy Reid speak earlier, we played that in the bottom of the 3 o'clock hour. If you want to scroll back on our video stream or catch hour number 2 of the podcast on the podcast page at 580wibw.com. Joe Thuney's going to start camp on the PUP list coming off of was it the oblique or was it
the pec?
The pec, yeah, torn pec.
Pec strain.
So we'll see how soon Joe Thuney's up to speed. As a veteran offensive lineman, I don't think the preseason is super important for him. It's just a matter of getting healthy and being 100% fit for week 1. He ranks number 39 as one of the best pass blocking guards in the game, says PFF. Joe Thuney posted his 3rd consecutive season with a pass blocking grade of at least 83. Even if it was a step down from the previous 2 years, his run blocking was also above average. He allowed just 2 sacks on his pass blocking snaps. An elite guard, one of the very best in the game, Joe Thuney. Trent McDuffie ranks 36th, the 36th best player in the league. Consistently underrated, PFF writes.
I'll say.
Trent McDuffie has been one of the best in the game in his brief NFL career. He's played in the slot as well as out wide, posted an 82.9 PFF overall grade. The loss of L'Jarius Sneed will force him into an even greater role within the Chiefs defense in 2024, where he might get the recognition he deserves. Yeah, maybe from you guys.
Yeah, I'll be honest
maybe
with
he
you.
could be an all-pro next year.
I think that they have severely, because we don't know who's in the top 30 yet. Those will be revealed over the next 3 days. They'll finish it off on Friday, so we'll get to the full list then. I think numbers 35 and 36, 2 cornerbacks, Patrick Surtain and then Trent McDuffie, I think they are both criminally underrated here. Like Surtain, he's the only dude they
coming
have.
off a bad year.
Yeah, he was not especially good last year. That's fine. Trent McDuffie's better than this. He should absolutely be ranked higher than this. And if you're going to say, okay, well, then who would you move down? I would very easily move down the guy they have ranked immediately in front of them, Aiden Hutchinson.
You'd move him down?
Aiden Hutchinson is good. He is a good player. Do you know where he ranked in pass rush win rate among edge rushers last year?
I do not.
Not in the top 20. And that's a top 34 player in the whole league?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
He is good. He is a good player. And I think he probably looks better because the guy drafted in front of him was Trevon Walker, who, does the average person remember who he plays for? He was the number 1 overall pick 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Does anyone remember who he plays for?
He's still with the Jags?
He is still with the Jaguars. I think Hutchinson is overrated. I think he's overrated because the Lions have been the hotness this past year and a half, really, season and a half anyway, and they've got nobody else in their front 7.
One player sticks out to me. It's the very top of the current list. Derrick Henry's the 31st best player in the NFL still.
No.
Are they basing this off of your finished 2023-2024 campaign, or
I'm guessing
preview our?
I'm guessing this is based on PFF grades from last year.
These rankings will be based on a combination of past performance, future potential, and overall impact on the game. That tells me absolutely nothing. What does that last line even mean? So it's supposed to take it all into consideration. I've told you guys in recent days and recent shows, I do think Derrick Henry is going to have a good year in Baltimore.
Yeah.
I do think he's got something left in the tank. I think part of the reason he declined last year in Tennessee, one, he is older and he's a big dude, and you worry about when he'll break down. But also, Tennessee's offensive line was probably the worst in the NFL last year. Absolutely miserable. He averaged under a yard per carry before contact last year. That is horrendous. And that's not his fault, obviously. That's an offensive line stat. That being said, I don't think he's a top 31 player in the league. The guy right behind him, Amon-Ra St. Brown, another Lion. I would put him up there.
I would too.
Put another Raven, Roquan Smith, who's a little bit lower. I'd put him above Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
I'd put Trent McDuffie ahead of him.
I think I would too. The guy was an all-pro last year on one of the best defenses in the game. Like, what more do you want?
So we've got two Chiefs on here. I admitted up, so I'd move McDuffie up certainly into the top 30. I actually might move Tooney down a little bit. I am a little bit worried about him going forward. He's a huge dude who's coming off a major injury that kept him out of the Super Bowl. And I worry a little bit about the future for Tooney. Great player, obviously. Phenomenal player. I'm a little bearish, I guess, on his future, even if I think he'll still be decent this year. How many other Chiefs are going to end up in the top 30? Mahomes, obviously.
Yeah, Mahomes. If
he's not one, throw it out.
Yeah, if he's not number one, bad list. Chris Jones will be top 30.
Chris Jones.
Travis Kelce should be top 30.
Should be, right?
Should be.
You would think.
Anyone else going to make it?
I think that's probably it. Maybe Trey Smith or Creed Humphrey.
I would see probably Humphrey.
Yeah, I don't know about Trey Smith. They've planted their flag pretty firmly on the Chris Lindstrom is the best guard in football.
And he is really good.
Yeah, he's outstanding. He ranks 38, one spot above Tooney. So maybe not Trey Smith, maybe Humphrey. But
I can see it with Humphrey's like statistical numbers. And I know it's hard to find stats for offensive linemen other than penalties. You pretty much need to go follow guys who rewatch the games and chart play by play. Those dudes think Creed Humphrey's like one of the 10 best linemen in the league. He is dominant every single year.
Just to be clear, if the Chiefs do end up with 5 guys on this list, and I think they're going to, 5 of the top 50 players being on one team in a 32-team league
is nuts.
Yeah, like the standard would be that you would get 1, maybe 2 on a list like this. To have 5,
but also this team's won the back-to-back Super Bowls.
Right? That's why. Just
they're
like
the team.
They're the team to beat in the NFL, and they've got the best player in the league.
I will say, if you wanted to make an argument for Trey Smith, how about this? I gave you the pass rush win rate stat from ESPN earlier. Pass block win rate. I like this stat. I think it's very useful. It's do you win your matchup in 2.5 seconds? That's what the matchup is. How many Chiefs do you think are in the top 4 for interior offensive linemen? Pass block win rate last season.
I'm going to suspect that Tooney was pretty high. Creed was probably extremely high. Top 4?
Top 4.
Boy, at 2?
Joe Tooney, number 1. Creed Humphrey, number 2. Trey Smith, number 4.
Oh, wow.
Andre James of the Raiders, who's actually a very good player. He's the only other one who broke into that top 4.
The best interior line in football. There's no question about it. We're going to take a break, come back. Major League Baseball All-Star Game is tonight. We'll talk about it on 580 Sports Talk. Tonight from Globe Life Field in Arlington, the Midsummer Classic, the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. No Royals will start tonight's game, but
rigged.
Both Cole Reagans and Seth Lugo have told a local television affiliate that they expect to pitch tonight. And I'm sure we will see Bobby Witt Jr., the star of last night's home run derby, and Salvador Perez at some point in
What
the
do they
game.
usually do with the catchers? They go half and half?
Depends.
Roughly, yeah.
This is my main gripe with the All-Star game. We vote for the starters and they're out after like 3 innings, and we get 6 innings of just like guys. Like, as much as I like Ryan McMahon of the Rockies, he shouldn't play 6 innings of tonight's All-Star game, or even 5 innings. The starters should play at least the first 6 innings of the game, because that's who the fans want to see. Even if the fans get the voting wrong, and they often do, the fans want to see their guys. They voted, they put in the time and the effort to vote for their guys. Let them see their guys for the bulk of the game. And if some guys don't get to play in the All-Star game, too bad. Oh, well. I understand it's not how it works, not how it's worked for a long time. Doesn't mean what it used to. I know all of those things. But that is my main gripe with the All-Star game, is we don't see the starters for long enough.
Dumb rule idea. And not really a rule, but dumb strategy idea. Do it in reverse. Make the honor you close the All-Star game.
You are not the only person to float that idea. I don't think it's that crazy.
Like, get Ryan McMahon can play the first 3 innings, or whoever else can, or whatever pitcher can go in the first few innings.
So when the game is on the line in the 8th or the 9th inning, that's when you get like Paul Skeens facing Juan Soto.
That would be sick.
Like, we're gonna get that in the first inning tonight, but like, what if we got it in the 8th in a 1-run?
Yeah,
game? Like ratchet up the drama a little bit.
Back in the day, guys used to play the whole game.
Yeah, like Ted Williams hit a walk-off home run in the 12th inning of an All-Star game.
It used to really mean something to people.
It was the only time that the American League's best would play the National League's best, because you didn't have interleague play. You just had the World Series.
Well, and especially pitchers, like a lot of pitchers never saw the field in the All-Star game, right?
Yeah, you have like 3 pitchers maybe would pitch in the All-Star game.
But you have selected like 6 or 7.
Here's my theory on this. I had this thought as we were talking about Bobby Witt Jr. and the spotlight that he got to have in the home run derby last night. And now that he is, I think, much more of a household name than he was before the home run derby last night. It used to be that with baseball, you had like the World Series was on TV and the All-Star game was on TV. And maybe your local team was on TV. And maybe you had like, NBC got into the game of the week business there in like the 60s and 70s or whatever. But you had very little televised baseball. So the All-Star game was a major showcase for the best players in the game. Like, that was where you watched them. I think now, with baseball being so much more regionalized in terms of how it is consumed, and with no like main national game of the week product that is like the must-see game each week, like Sunday Night Baseball doesn't carry the same weight that it used to. The Fox Saturday game is a regional offering. Apple TV will just show anybody on a Friday night. Like, that's not a showcase game.
No.
Have we come all the way back around to the All-Star game being the time to showcase the game's best young players?
I would say so. I think like ESPN could do a better job of,
because all ESPN ever shows is the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Cubs and the Dodgers.
People are Cubs and Cardinals. That's the problem. But what they could do is they could forecast. Like, I don't even know if they do this, but they could forecast it by month.
And that's
right?
the only
they should do it by month.
Build a monthly schedule. I mean, that's something to think about. But even then, like it's a ratings play, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the only game on ESPN anymore. They don't have the Wednesday night. They don't have Monday Night Baseball. TBS has a game, but like,
I forget that it exists.
I always forget TBS is on.
I have no idea what the FS1 schedule for games are either.
I mean, we never even know when the Royals were on.
Yeah,
FS1.
when we find out, we're surprised. Yeah. Oh wait, the Royals are on national TV tonight. That snuck up on us.
I think, well, ESPN doesn't even do a good job of like taking care of the brands than teams they do put on the air. I mean, the broadcast quality is so crappy. But Spencer, to your point, like the Big 12 picks games 13 days out.
Exactly.
Like what time slot they're going to be
6.
in. Yeah.
Sometimes
it's
the
week
Big
of.
12, but like at least in the SEC.
Yeah, in the Big 12 too. Yeah, they'll do either 13 or 6. By the end of the year, God, like week 11, it's all a 6-day window at that point in this conference, which is annoying for planning purposes. But like, why couldn't you do that with baseball?
No reason you could. No reason you couldn't say, yeah, we're moving our Sunday afternoon game to Sunday night. We're gonna put the big game. You'll know what the big series is. You can look at the probable starters. Make Carl Ravitch wait a little to book his flights. I don't know.
He's not doing prep. Like, he's not prepared for any broadcast, so it's not like you're losing out on that.
All-Star game tonight. Who's winning? NL,
AL. 4-2.
I am.
Skeens does not allow a run, though.
Yeah, I'm going to say scoreless, like showcase first for Skeens, but yeah, I'll go with the American League to restore the recent order of things. 5-3. I'll go a little higher scoring. We're going to wrap up the show with the final word after this from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio on 580 Sports Talk. Wrapping up this Tuesday with the final word. Spencer, go.
Bobby Baseball made himself well known last night on national TV with the home run derby, almost winning, coming within feet of tying to extend the derby last night. Unfortunately, he didn't win, but I think he won over a lot of people across the country, and I'm excited to see what he can do tonight along with the rest of his Royals teammates in the All-Star game.
Yeah, what a huge moment for Royals baseball, for Royals baseball fans, and for Bobby Witt Jr. If you know baseball and you follow it closely, if that's your thing, you already knew how good Bobby Witt Jr. was. But for an audience that maybe hasn't paid that kind of attention, or maybe this is the time of year where they really get into the stretch run for baseball, you saw him last night put on a real show and prove, yeah, he is a legit superstar. And I'm going to call my shot tonight. We get a Cole Reagans moment the same kind of way tonight.
I would love to see that. Final word for me, it's good to be Patrick Mahomes right now. 3 Super Bowl rings, including the last 2. Baby number 3 on the way with your lovely wife. And a TV at training camp in your dorm to play college football 25. Man, in some ways, Patrick Mahomes really is just like us. In most other ways, he is exceptional. He remains one of one. And I was just struck in listening to and also watching his remarks today from St. Joe on check-in day for the quarterbacks and the rookies, just how comfortable and in control of everything he seems to be. He seems fully engaged, fully relaxed, fully ready for a big year. And it's great to have the Chiefs back in camp. The boys are back in town up there in St. Joe, and training camp starts in earnest in just a few days. That's going to do it for 580 Sports Talk today. Hope you'll join us tomorrow from 2 to 6 for Trenton Kraxner, Spencer Dupuis, and Brendan Dworzinski. I'm Dan Lucero. This has been another edition of 580 Sports Talk from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow at 2.